We are live. I haven't done my job, though, by playing with this lightsaber enough to make that problem happen. So I was thinking we would draw Star Wars. We will talk Star Wars. Let me put this down. I've got my...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I got my buddy Jedi Arms Dealer here. And this drawing is for Jedi Arms Dealer.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is actually your... This is going to be, when it's finished, this is going to be your lightsaber.
Oh my God.
In this monster's hand, so...
I keep forgetting I can zoom up on this thing too. Wow.
I was kind of thinking I would do some of his hair.
Jeez, Anthony, I can't believe the detail you put in these things. Holy. That is badass.
You let me know if it's like hard to hear me because I'm kind of switching positions here.
You're still good. Dang, dude.
So I kind of made this picture maybe a little too big because they've limited my like layer capacity to 7. So I had to be like smart with like how many layers. Like I would normally have like a bunch of layers, some of the top layers with like effects and stuff, but I'll have to just get smart. Because I kind of made it like 300 DPI, 11 by 17. That way, if you wanted to print it out in like a poster at like 150, you know, it'll kind of work.
Yeah. How you liking the iPad since you got it? It's been a little while, right?
Yeah, it's been like a year, and I think it's awesome. I wish I had like used it more. The stuff I'm doing for my comic, Kevin, my partner with the comic, he's more on the iPad doing the coloring. And I've been just doing all the pencils, and the pencils, at least the way we're doing our comic, Albatross Junction, is where I'm doing the pencils like by hand, and then Kevin's doing the inking on the iPad, and I haven't finished my issue yet, issue number 1. So like I'm doing issue number 1, Kevin's working on issue number 2. But Kevin's like inking my work, he's coloring my pages for issue number 1. And since I haven't gotten to the coloring stage yet, I haven't like finished ink or penciling issue number 1. Once I do, I'll move to inking and coloring, but I haven't gotten there yet. So the iPad is kind of like, I did like maybe like 8 or 9 like full color pieces, and then that was it. That was just penciling. Like,
are you coloring now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You might want to zoom out a little bit if you can, because I don't think we can see what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in this area that I'm zoomed into. See if you could tell. Oops, that's not it.
Oh, whoa!
Oops.
Look at that.
No, I made a mistake there.
No, you're coloring in such fine detail. I didn't realize we were in that close. That's awesome. Oh my God, dude. I'll definitely be getting this printed as a poster. No doubt.
I was listening to more of the Star Wars radio drama from episode 4.
Yeah.
It's incredible, dude. It's great for lightsaber lovers. I'll tell you why. Like they, have you ever listened to it?
No, I'm gonna have to do it now that you're talking about it.
I'll send you like the YouTube link if you have trouble finding one. The one I'm listening to has ads. I guess they all kind of would. but
Okay.
maybe you can find one like without ads. It's quite annoying unless you're right there to click it off. But they follow the characters in all the parts of the story that that like that we don't see happen. So like we don't see Leia arriving at the Death Star when she was captured. She's just already there, captured, in the movie.
Mm.
We don't see Obi-Wan like pulling out his lightsaber at all on the Millennium Falcon to like help instruct Luke. It's just we see Luke, right? Whereas in the radio drama, there's sound effects and stuff on this one that I have, where there's the lightsabers, and there's a lot of like I'm telling you, the only thing we don't like see is them going to the refresher. That's the only thing. Jake Soft says, "What's up, Jedi Arms Dealer? What is going on, Jake Soft?"
Speaking of Jake Soft, Space just sent me 2 epic old school string blades, and I've got a couple of the white Stardust here. And so, Jake, I have a question for you. Can I do a 6-segmented string blade, old school style, with the I got a DIY Eno also. But
DIY Eno can do it.
Yeah, but I can't remember if the Stardust can. So I'm curious, Jake. The pioneers of NeoPixel, Jake Soft and Andros Kuhn, the very first 2 to put it in a saber, put it in a blade, NeoPixel strip, and make it come to life. It should be noted.
I was bugging on like Andros's videos. I was absolutely bugging when I saw that fire for the first time.
Yeah.
And well, I was actually bugging even before that because he was doing the string blade effects that I wanted. So Andros set me up with a DIY Eno for string blade. He sent it to me. It's in my drawer. I haven't connected it yet. Could you believe it? What a jerk off I am, but it's haven't done it yet.
It's an interesting one to learn. It actually made it so much easier for me to jump into Profi because they're very similar. That the Brass Flex has that DIY Eno in it, and that's the one where I can reprogram it every time and use 3 different blade types.
Oh, incredible!
So that's how I know it'll do the.
It's like a JB Kuma lightsaber.
Right.
It can do like 3 different things.
Yep. But the thing is I was using the Ethernet connector, so I'd probably just build another saber with your Canon plug, and then of course I want to try it, with the Profi as well, because I've read that one can do the 6-segmented string too. In theory. So did you happen to click on the eBay link I sent you?
I don't think so.
Oh,
no.
Dude.
There's a couple links you sent me I didn't have time to click on yet, like the music one and maybe some other things today.
It's a real parts Obi-Wan that's for auction right now.
Oh, I saw that come through. What does that mean exactly? Excuse my ignorance.
No, it has all of the original parts from like vintage hand rifle grenade, 100% vintage. It's got the Exactra bubble strip in there. It's got the cold side hand wheel, which was like a faucet wheel from Armitage Shanks. From it's all like 40s and 50s stuff.
How much was this kit?
It was up to, when I looked at it today, it was like 8 hours left, and I think it was up to 11,500.
What?
Yeah, it's the real deal. Like it's.
Is that something you can install into, or that's literally just for the shelf?
No, it has like a steel threaded rod that holds the whole thing together, because that's how they held together the original on screen in 1977, was just
Right.
a threaded steel rod. So it's the same setup as that,
Okay.
but every single section, is the real
Is
deal.
legit.
It's legit, like World War One, or I don't remember if it's World War One or World War Two on the grenade section, and then another one's like a balance pipe to a Rolls Royce engine, and then of course Graflex clamp.
So these are parts that they all came together from different places, and it's not like an item that you find out there in the world. It's like somebody assembles it that way.
Next to impossible. Well, someone had to go out and look all over the world to find these vintage parts and put it together.
Right.
There's not many of them out there, because even like the balance pipe and the hand grenade, I think, are the two most difficult things to find. Maybe the other, I don't remember what the emitter. Yeah, that's another one that's impossible, but it's all legit. That's always been my dream, to own one, but who has a cool 15 grand laying around they can just
I
throw at eBay?
know.
Yeah.
That's wild. And then, like, God forbid you passed, nobody would know what the fuck that is and how much it's worth. Like, your wife would just throw that in the garbage. Well, she'd be like, give it to the junker. She's like, how much in aluminum for this?
Yeah, this thing's all rusty. I don't get it. Just throw it away.
Rummage sale, $1.25.
Oh man.
He had this in
Meanwhile,
a glass case. I don't know why.
I'm crying in my grave. No. I should have schooled her. Oh man, that's funny. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. I think it ended. So I'm curious to see what the final was on it. Yeah, you got to check that out. It's absolutely gorgeous. Let's see. There. Oh, it's got 1 hour and 3 minutes left.
Keep it up on your screen so we could track it. What's it up to?
12,300.
What do you? Let's take a bet on what it'll be. Like, I know nothing about it, but I'll still bet about it. Why not? I'll say you mentioned 15,000. I'll say it'll end at 14,300.
There you go, Space. I don't know if you can see the screen or not, but there she is in all her glory.
Oh,
the real
see if I
deal.
can make that bigger.
I mean, this is like a super rare moment that someone's selling one of these.
What do you think it'll go for? Over 15?
I'm thinking right around 15, 16. You just never see him at all anymore.
So was the same one also the one for Luke? Or that was, something different? Like Luke Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I think they recycled. I think the deal is they recycled some of the parts. But like the hand grenade part of it, I think was remachined. On the V2 is the one that's similar, I believe. Someone correct me in the chat or comments. Oh, here we go. Jigsaw. Stardust only has 3 FETs. You could do it, but we would need to put a PEX or some external FETs to drive the extra segments. Gotcha. Good to know, Jigsaw.
The Prime can do it easy.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, Jigsaw. You guys get all the accolades, man. You guys were the first to that whole deal. Loved watching your guys' progress. I couldn't get that board here fast enough. I think it was my Christmas present to myself or something. I was freaking out when I saw the Fireblade that Andros did for his kid for the parade out there in Germany.
Yeah, we saw the same video. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the first one out there on. Matter of fact, I ought to contact Andros and be like, you need to change your header to world's first.
Yeah.
Because it's the real deal.
Now, was he using, I even think that he experimented with like the different LED strips too, where, he had, he was like, this is what works better.
Oh, you mean like
I think he had like 144 versus, he kind of
was
I think I remember that from his videos.
No, you're right. I think he started off with the
Like
60.
he showed it in one of the first videos. He was like, "This is the 60, and it doesn't look that great." And then this is the next one, and
yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it feels like just yesterday. I guess it was like 5-6 years ago, maybe longer, but it feels like I feel like that this all just happened with the NeoPixel. But
I think it's been 3 or 4 because I put my video out about 3 years ago, and I think Andros was developing it. Andros and Jake Soft were developing about a year before that, at least. Saber OS. LSOS. LSOS. I love that.
Lightsaber OS.
Yep. I actually updated the DIY, in my Brassflex to the newest software for it, and it's pretty sweet. They've done quite a bit of stuff to it.
Like it does different or it uses different software than the Profi.
Yeah. Yeah, it's their own proprietary setup, and they're not interchangeable.
I see. So like the fire effect and things, does that look all different? Kind of.
I want to say it slowed down a little bit, but I can't remember if the new update that I downloaded from Andros
like changed the look.
I think he might have sped it up. I think was the deal, because he originally timed it for the 60 pixels per meter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so then when he went to 144, it was like, oh, I need to speed that up, because look, it's kind of cool though, the old one, because it looks like an actual, like a candle flame, because it's slow. Yeah,
I did love that look. That was so sweet.
Oh yeah, they were the first ones to get on that. It shall be told. Going down through Saber generations. Pass it on. So Jake Soft says, I have a video on my channel that documents the history of the Pixel Blade, complete with dates. Oh, heck yeah. Is that something new, Jake Soft, or have you had that on there for a while? I'd love to see that, because I'm all about Saber history, as Space knows. I'm a weirdo that way.
Yeah, so I was going to tell you about the blades that I sent you. I was just going to tell you a couple little details about it. The blue one was, see, I used to have like a system that I would like rate them. I mean, even though it was just me, I was like making it, plus I was like rating it. So I came up with a system, it was just like a grading system, like 1 to 100. And if it wasn't over like 94, I wouldn't sell it. So the blue one was a customer of mine, Timo, from the forums. He had a lightsaber done through me, converted to CFLS, and I built him a blue blade. And then a couple years later, he got out of the saber hobby, and I saw the saber go for sale, so I bought it back. And that was the blade from that, the blue one. So that made the grade. Like that was one that I thought was quite nice. The green one, although I thought the light was even and everything else like that, it seemed potentially when I slid in like the neon or the nylon tube for diffusion, there may have been a little piece of the blade tube that was like a little splinter or something that kind of scratched the nylon tube as it slid in, or something like that may have happened, because I feel like there's a slight, like a line on the nylon tube
in the photon
in the photon one. Yeah. So like there's the
those are super. No, I was gonna say those are super sensitive to scratching. I know exactly what you're talking about. You scratch the inside at all, it's like this neon stripe in there that's just a scratch that goes all the way down.
Yeah, it's either that or the nylon tube. It's one of the. It's either the photon tube or the nylon tube, which we can fix or whatever. But that was just something at the time I just deemed like I couldn't sell that. So I was just testing it and stuff like that. So I figure, you know, you could use it for like, you know, when you're like bench testing for your string blade stuff. And I'll send you like that diagram where
I'm real curious to see that.
You know how to wire that 8 pin plug.
Yeah, that was one of my I mean, dude, I'm beyond stoked because you saved me how many hours of soldering a jillion LEDs and inhaling how much smoke, solder smoke. So,
Yeah, well,
that's
I'll like
huge.
make you one too that is like in a better color if you know have a better idea from like I don't know seeing some videos that I have or whatever if you want some special color. But yeah, I figured that could get you started, you know. And they both like look really bright. I think the blue one's pretty nice and smooth.
I can't wait. So I'm curious on the wiring diagram on that because I remember looking at it years ago. Do you have to put resistors between the blade and the LS?
No, because I take care of like the power like requirements through my LED choice and also just adjusting the like also the LED choice, the way I wire it, depending, you know, like if it's red, I wire it in serial L class 3. If it's like at the blue, I wire it in serial L class 2. So that's developed by Eastern 57 and Sloth Furnace and Irv back in, you know, 2010 or whatever. So that's like to help with the power requirement to match to the battery, to match to the output of the board. And beyond that, I don't like, let's say that little SD card I sent you in the box is just a setup that is probably far below the brightest setting, just to protect. You know, it's like you don't want to, let's say, take care of all of the power consumption deficit like with the card, because then it'll heat up and you can really mess things up. But just a little bit, like for instance, the highest setting is 1023 for the LED, and that would be like the full power of the 7.4 bore, you know, 8 volts or whatever. So you scale that back a little bit to maybe I was running things at like, you know, 800, 850, 900, 950, and never really going to like 1023.
Right.
So
you basically calculate current and voltage consumption per segment and set it up that way based on the number of LEDs you're using per segment to chew up the right amount of power per pad.
Right. And like the segment, like let's say it's serial L class 2, the segment will be divided into 2. So like let's say the LED is like 3.4 type of LEDs. You will have the serial L class 2 will, you will, let's say, double that. So you'll have like your power requirement there will be like 6.8 for that segment, which is like, okay, like now we're in a range where we could set it to like, you know, 900 or 875, and like we're in the sweet spot.
Nice.
You know, if you have like red LEDs and they were 2.5s and we were doing it serial L class 3, would basically be like flipping the positive and negative 2 times in a segment to have 3 mini segments in one segment. And then so you need 7.5 volts to power that, which is perfect, you know. So you could run that like 950,000. Melissa's World is here.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa, this is more for Jedi Arms Dealer. This stream is I'm drawing a picture for Jedi Arms Dealer. We'll do like a party stream at some other time. This is just a little drawing chat with JAD. This picture's for him. It's a monster. Well, it's not really a monster. It's like an Arctic creature who is guarding the crystal caves. Would you say this is Ilum that he's at?
The concept in my head was kind of like he was a higher intelligence species, kind of like how we are to apes and monkeys. He is to the Wampa. So He's like
Right.
a, you know what I mean? Like he's an
That's what I was
advanced.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like an advanced version of,
He's kind of like Yoda. Like when you see Yoda and Luke was just thought Yoda was like a some creature. This guy like appears as some creature, but really is like an intelligent type of beast.
yeah, and that's wields a big monster crystal saber.
And since he's kind of like I would say he's kind of like Chewbacca in the sense that he's like bigger and stronger than just like human beings. So he's got that going for him. But in
Right.
this picture here, there's like going to be
Incredible.
like a small battalion of Imperial Crimson Guard kind of dudes.
Nice.
Who are basically going to be taking him down like within the next few seconds after this picture. Like there's this one dude who's about to stab him. There's some people that you can't tell yet that are going to be firing flamethrowers. There's some dudes that he's like killing in the midst of this drawing, and then they got like obviously they got some like droids coming in here.
Oh my god!
And they got some more dudes that are like Praetorian Guard type dudes.
I love how he's stepping on the one dude.
Yeah, I want to show like crystals and stuff as he's stepping on that dude. They're like flying up in the air because he's so strong that he's hitting these Crimson Guards and maybe crushing some little snow and ice and crystals that are below.
Yeah, I pictured like him having the last stand when the Empire, broke in to start taking crystals for the Death Star type of thing. If it's in that time era.
Oh, okay. It could be. I saw it as kind of something ancient or something, but I kind of think like these Crimson dudes kind of always looked the same.
I actually prefer the ancient angle because I'm all about some old Republic stuff.
Yeah, like you could imagine
because you can go
some ancient empire that was like after I kind of think since George Lucas said the story repeats itself over and over and over again, I kind of think this attack, like this seizure of the Republic by the Sith, has probably been going on, or their attempt to, it's probably been going on like the whole 25,000 years for the most part. That's my thinking, the whole history.
Yeah.
So there probably were times where like they won and got control of the Empire or like something like a First Order, and then were able to attack the Jedi in such a way like Palpatine did.
Right.
I also watched that George Lucas, no, not George Lucas, but the celebration thing that you sent.
Yeah.
Like I kind of have like a different perspective a little bit because of the clips they showed. Tell me if like you agree with any of this. And it's going to be harsh because like nobody agrees with like saying anything bad about Lucas. But I kind of caught something in there like I just didn't like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like, so they showed a clip from 2005, and it was 2005 Star Wars Celebration, which they said was right before Revenge of the Sith coming out. So they brought George Lucas out, and that was Celebration 5, and they brought George Lucas out, and they said that this is the first time George Lucas ever came to Celebration. So he's there, and everyone gets up and cheers like you wouldn't believe. I mean, obviously it's a Star Wars audience and everyone is freaking out like it's Christmas Day. So then they and he's kind of telling guys like, oh, it's only a movie, guys, like
I didn't
stuff like that.
either.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. And then 5 years later, so they say, okay, now it's 2010. Here's George Lucas again, and he comes back on, and Jon Stewart was the host that year of that segment at Celebration, and it seemed like from the way Jon Stewart was talking, he was like, "Oh, you've been getting a lot of blowback this year, huh? You're taking a lot of heat." And you remember that time, like 2010, and it was a couple years later, he got rid of the whole Star Wars and sold it to Disney. And tell me if you like heard these rumors or think that this is kind of true, that, you know, he was partly upset with like the fans' reaction to, I guess, the prequels in some manner or something. Now, I just, so I don't know, like in that 2010 interview, he was saying like, oh, you know, thankfully all the movies are done now. All my work is kind of done with it. He goes, you know, I don't think, you know, I should, you know, he kind of made a comment like, almost like you shouldn't spend, you know, I don't want to spend my life on Star Wars. And I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of took that as like a little bit of an insult, because
Yeah.
I took like one little part of Star Wars and kind of made that my life. So I'm not even near anywhere close to the creator of Star Wars. I just like one little thing in Star Wars enough to like devote my life to that. And he's basically saying like, that's stupid.
Yep.
And
I
that
caught
pissed
that.
me off a bit. And especially
Yep.
because a couple years later, he sold everything. And, you know, like I said, at least I'm hearing this rumor that it's because, you know, I mean, he said it right out of his own mouth. He didn't really want to keep making these movies. But I don't know. My argument, you know, from seeing what actually happened, like, why not? Like, why not make that like your life? Like, would that be so bad to be like at the
Yeah.
end? People were like, whoa, he made like 12 fucking incredible movies. No one will ever do that again. Because, you
Yeah.
know, he made episode 1 through 12 and it took him till he was 80, but it was amazing. And I mean, is that so bad? Like, you
No,
know what I
it's what
mean?
made him. It's what made him a damn billionaire. So it's kind of a spit in the fans' face. I didn't like that either. It really pissed me off.
Yeah, I
I'm with
know
you
it's a
on that.
complicated, you know, kind of thought or
Yeah,
whatever, but I don't know. That's just kind of what I took from that today.
I think that happens though when people are just surrounded and inundated all the time with Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. It's like it probably drove him nuts after a while.
Mm.
But
But it also goes
still,
back to like I listen to those people like online, like Joe Rogan, who I listen to his podcast forever and ever. He says you can't like listen to the comments, like you can't read the comments. Now, for like a small channel like mine, you know, I look at the comments and I have to respond to the comments, because when you're like a small channel, you want to interact with everybody. But
sure.
when you're like a huge channel, you can't, because there's so many negative people in there that
Yeah,
you will kill yourself. Um,
haters.
you know, there's so many people telling you to probably kill yourself or whatever, like if you're Joe Rogan, right?
Right.
So like Lucas has to be on that level of not reading like don't read the comments. Like that, you made the mistake then, because you sold Star Wars because you didn't like the hate or whatever. That means you were reading the comments. Don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
Not as George Lucas, you know?
Own it. Yeah.
Like
Own your
there's so
creation. Who
many people,
cares?
because that's the smallest amount of people, you know. Looking back, like, and that's just weird to me also at the time. So let's just go back and just say it again, that at 2005 Celebration, right before Revenge of the Sith, he came out to thunderous applause. So Revenge of the Sith is regarded as the best one of those prequels.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2010, why wasn't he on a high horse? I just don't understand. Like, what's the problem? Like, everyone loves Revenge of the Sith. They didn't like so much the second movie, but I mean, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, what's the problem? You're the big man on campus. What do you care?
Yeah.
What like the nerds think, or like a couple of the nerds? Because like most of the nerds are just like, this is amazing.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I
Even
remember
for
having.
episode 1, they
Oh
were like
yeah,
freaking out in
that
line
was
and
hype.
afterwards, and yeah. Yep. Yep. I got a good George Lucas story. My buddy Mike used to work at a restaurant. He was a manager up at a restaurant in San Francisco, and Lucas came in just before they started filming episode 1, and Mike doesn't know who he is. And so he comes up with his entourage of people, and they're bringing in all these blueprints, big rolled up things and tubes and stuff that they want to come in and have like a lunch meeting and lay it all out on a table.
Mhm.
Place was packed.
What
So
kind of
Lucas
restaurant?
walked.
It's like a
I
pizza
don't know. That
place
was
or something else?
forever ago. No, it was something else. No reservations. You could just walk in. But Mike just told me the stories like it was a full house.
Hmm.
And so Lucas and he said about 5 other people came in with all these rolled up tubes of papers and stuff that they wanted to go over some of the details for episode 1. And so George looks over at this table where, it was one of those tables where it was all pushed together and there's like a big group there and stuff. And he walks up to Mike, who's, seating everybody and stuff. And he says, what's the deal with that big two-top over there? Is there any way you could get those people to move? And Mike was like, those are my customers. And as you can see, it's packed in here. I'm not going to ask someone to move. He was like, how rude.
Yeah.
Because, he didn't know it was George. It wouldn't have mattered even if he did know it was George Lucas. So he goes into the back where the kitchen is. And one of the cooks walks up to him and he's like, dude, do you know who that is? Mike's like, I have no idea, but he's an asshole. And he's like, dude, that's George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. And Mike's like, he's still an asshole.
Yeah.
So that was it. They had to wait their turn until, the table got up and left. And then they brought all their paperwork to this big table and spread everything out in there and spent the whole evening in there going over episode 1.
They waited then. That's good.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because he was kind of nudging Mike hey, can you pull some strings? It was just funny because Mike had no clue. George was probably like, geez, does this guy really not know who I am?
But yeah, what that trait is though? That's like a trait of success, I think, to because it's like that old saying, like, you never know until you ask.
Yeah.
And it's like that type of thing. It's like people that are successful, like, they don't fuck around. Like, if they want something, they'll just ask for it. There's no shame or pride or there's nothing like that blocking it. They're just like, oh, I want to sit here. And it's like, well, I'm sitting here. It's like, well, do you know who I am? Or something. Like, they don't, they just aren't, they don't have that part of their brain, I guess.
Yeah. That no fear, just go for their goals type of thing. But I don't know. I could never be that person where it's just, cutting other people off. That ain't cool. But thank you, George, for Star Wars, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
I just don't understand, like, the, I don't know, the abandonment, I guess. Like, why abandon?
Yeah, because after the part you're talking about where he was kind of talking down, oh, it's just a movie and I'm done with it and blah blah blah. Didn't he come out with the Tuskegee Airmen movie or shortly after that or something? That's
true. What, so that didn't do well, or?
Yeah, it didn't do well. He was going out on experimentation mode and wanting to explore other movie genres, and it didn't go well at all. Jakesoff says his video, I'm assuming the one he's talking about is the history of string blades.
The link
is about
right
a year
here.
Old. Oh, cool,
so
cool.
If you're able to, I don't know if we can click that, but maybe you can click that, or that might be clickable in the chat. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to pull it up I'm on the iPad, so I can't click it. Melissa says, by the way, the talk last night with you and Kevin was helpful. I know in time my knighthood will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
I think we're going to set up some kind of knighting ceremony for you once you get your saber. We'll do it online.
Yeah.
We'll hook something up where we all have our saber. On StreamYard here, where we do this live show, we can get up to 10 people in here. So we can get we have me, Jedi Arms Dealer. Let's get 6 more knights. So we have 8 knights, and then we'll knight you. You'll be the 9th person in there, the 9th or 10th person in there. We'll get a bunch of people in here.
There you go.
Maybe we'll get Scarecrow to come in here. We'll ask him at least. We'll ask everyone that was involved with your saber, Tom.
I mentioned last night about seeing the refresher. She says,
brass Jedi Arms Dealer was talking about before. I don't know if that's within reach, but he has a Graflex lightsaber that, instead of made of steel like a regular Graflex, it is made of brass, and it's probably too heavy to hang on his belt, but it's brass.
It is heavy. I brought it to San Diego Comic-Con one year and about threw out my hip.
It gave you sciatica.
Yeah, it's heavy, all right, because it's got the chassis with the big aluminum blade holder and stuff. I was like, why the hell did I bring this one? Yeah, I can grab it. Hold on a sec, real quick. Matter of fact, you know what, Space? I'm gonna grab your blade box as well and open that on camera.
Oh, nice. Let's do an
Cool, cool.
unboxing.
Yeah, man. Be right back.
There's a couple more comments from Melissa. Let's see what she's saying here. Hope I'm not going too fast with typing. I don't mean to type too much. No big deal. Let's see here. If you recall, last night I had a little bit of Jedi counseling, if you will, and now I'm starting to feel better. And after some meditation, the Force is starting to flow ever so slowly. Well, that's good. Yeah, I was listening to the Star Wars radio drama today. You should listen to that, Melissa. It is epically awesome, and it's episode 4. I'm starting with episode 4. It's a radio drama. It includes Mark Hamill as Luke. There's a couple different people. You know, Tarkin's not Tarkin, and Obi-Wan's not Alec Guinness, but and Darth Vader voice isn't the same, but it's all good to me. It sounds amazing. It's still Mark Hamill. I'm not sure if it's Carrie Fisher's in it, but it sounds like Princess Leia to me. It's not Harrison Ford, but it sounds enough like Han. And there is so much extra stuff in there, extra information, because it's like 4.5 hours long. It's like twice as long as the movie. And there's things like Obi-Wan telling Luke that every chance he gets, he's got to meditate in the Force, because he'll learn a bunch of stuff from that. He'll learn a bunch of stuff just by meditating on the Force. I researched it, and turns out toxic fans bullied George Lucas into quitting or something. That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what and I hate that, because that's got to be a small amount of people compared to all the people that love the movie, because even a lot of people in the Phantom Menace love the prequels. A lot of people. The Phantom Menace, as far as I know, is not against the prequels. They're against Disney Star Wars. Yeah, Scarecrow can come. You can invite these people too. I don't know when we'll do this, but if you talk to anybody that you want to have on, just tell them, we're going to do a knighting ceremony, and they should come on. I'll send you the link when we do it. Maybe we'll plan for something like December. Hopefully you'll have the saber by then. And let me make your screen bigger here. Let's see if we can.
Best Christmas present ever. I got SpaceWindu blades early for Christmas. Melissa's gonna get knighted.
Don't worry, we won't have to cut any of your hair off, Melissa. I don't think they do that to the. Do the female Padawans have those braids? I don't ever see that. I never saw that.
Good question. It suddenly got dark in here. I think the sun finally dipped down.
I saw that. I thought you ducked out of the whole stream before. I was like, oh, the screen went black over there.
That's weird.
No, but I can see you better now. It actually looks like you're in, your little sort of crystal. It's like your own crystal cave back there. I see some crystals lighting up, and
oh yeah, yep. All right. What the heck did you send me, dude? Caution.
That's a funny sheet. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. I used to send that to people.
Lithium-ion battery. Do not load or transport package of damage for information contact. Crinkle, crinkle, crackle, crackle in the microphone.
That's like the best sound. It's yeah, it is like Christmas time when you hear that sound.
Yeah, right. Female 8-pin din for your hilt. Yes. Best kind of female. Yeah. Don't let Barbara hear me say that. Oh, yeah. Unlimited power. Right there.
I think you might need two now that I think about it, because you're saying you're going to hook up a CFLS plus a DOI Eno or something.
I think I have one here. I think I do have another one here. I bought it years ago, hoping and praying and dreaming I would do a real deal. Because I think I told you I've experimented with the Master Replicas segmented. That's how I did the DIY Eno, was with the Master Replicas segmented.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the way I first started was I had Makoto make me one that would be compatible, because he wires his differently. I forget, like, it's like one of them is anode and one of them is cathode. I think Plector Labs is anode, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure I do, but it's been a while. But Makoto's is the other one. And so he had to wire me a special blade back in like 2010 when I was like, please make me one for my crystal focus. And then one or two of the LEDs went out when I was testing it. And that's how I had to start making, like, I think I told you before, like every single time I had to start into sabers was because of like something breaking and I had to fix it. Because I was like, what do I do? Send this to Taiwan and then tell him there's two LED. This is, he's not gonna be able to do that, because like this is wired for crystal focus.
Right.
And I was like, it's up to me. I better do it. So I ordered some LEDs online and I tried to insert them where the two were out. But obviously with binning and everything, you know how stupid that was? Like they were like different.
Yeah,
like
a funky spot.
Yeah, like it was like green LEDs, and I put like green LEDs from Amazon in that spot, and it was like different. It was different because he used special ones that he found that are bright and everything else. These were crap. And so I was like, shit, I have to build my own blade.
Your first lesson in
yeah. So I was like, I have to build my own blade, and then I had to go on and like look at the Plector Labs manual. I'm like, it tells you how to do it in here, And then I just kind of sloth furnace tips and different people's tips from FX Sabers. I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm getting it. There was one guy in FX Sabers that was great. His name was Hot Wings, and I don't know where he is now, but he, as far as I know, kind of disappeared around 2012. He was somewhere in Japan or somewhere, and he put out a diagram that, even though there's a diagram in the Plector Labs manual, I thought that like I needed a different thing to look at, because since I'm visual, that wasn't really hitting me. But Hot Wings put out a thing on FX Sabers that did hit me. And I was like, I get it now. I get Serial L now. So I studied it and I copied the JPEG, thank God, because then everything got wiped one time when Photo Bucket or one of those asshole companies deleted everything or got rid of everybody that wasn't paying. So a lot of the stuff on those forums disappeared.
That reminds me, I've got a Michael Murphy story for you. Back in about 2005, 2006, when I was selling the aluminum couplers on eBay where you could like screw two Master Replicas sabers together.
Oh, nice.
This was back when Knights of the Old Republic, I think, was really the big video game at the time. And you could get a double-bladed lightsaber, right? Am I remembering that
so.
right?
I'm not sure. Maybe, I guess.
Yeah, so
I don't remember enough.
I started having these couplers machined from a machine shop that you could join like two Anakins together from Revenge of the Sith or two Mace Windus. And I was selling them like hotcakes on eBay.
Where'd you get the couplers? You would devise it?
I drew it up and I did all the dimensions and everything in Illustrator, and then I
Uh-huh.
took it to a machine shop and they converted it to AutoCAD.
Wow.
Like just I just did like every the three angles, length, width, height type of thing, and they're like, yeah, this works. We'll just whip it together in AutoCAD. And I brought them the sabers so they could do the thread pitch and all that stuff. And so they made up like 100 couplers at a time for me. This is before the Darth Maul, the Master Replica's Darth Maul
Before the
came
dark
out.
times, before
Right,
the
right.
Empire.
And so Michael Murphy had, I believe, had just either taken over or purchased. I don't
FX
know if he,
Sabers.
yeah, because I know it was run by somebody before, right?
Yeah, he kind of talked about it in my talk with him, that one stream I had.
Yeah. So he contacted me and he was like, hey, Jedi Arms Dealer, how do you feel about running a saber contest? And we'll have people like submit their photos to FX Sabers with them using their Master Replicas lightsabers, either with your coupler or this like carry bag that I had found that was for a Tai Chi sword. And it would fit, a Master Replica's lightsaber, because the blade's not removable. And so you could put it in this bag and then like pull it out of the bag, off your back type of thing. It was all Velcro. I was selling those on eBay as well.
Whoa.
And so he was like, how do you feel about that? And do a giveaway. I was like, that's awesome. Let's do it. And it was really cool because you can still find it on FX Sabers, but
I don't know if I remember seeing you on FX Sabers. Were you a member or you were around earlier than me or something?
yeah, if you go back to the was it the Builders Guild? Doesn't he have a page of like all the old school?
Like the people that are like approved to build stuff for people or something?
Correct. Yeah, and
Right.
I'm under like parts and accessories or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It says Jedi Arms Dealer, but
Okay.
it was really funny. So Yoda and I were going back and forth, 2005, 2006, I think, and the contest finally got going after like a couple of weeks, and it was hilarious because like dudes were bringing in their girlfriends and their wives and getting them sending in photos of them all scantily clad with lightsabers. We were cracking up. We were like, this is insane. So it was kind of like the first time, anybody had put together like a collection of like all different kinds of people with lightsabers. It was
That's
pretty
like
cool.
Before Facebook, and you had
Exactly.
it was like a Facebook for lightsabers.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then, Facebook came out. And so I hop around on all the different businesses on there. Did you really just send me this, dude? Are you kidding me?
I told you I was going to
Holy
send you that a
crap.
bunch of months ago, and you
No,
probably
I
forgot. You probably forgot because
didn't.
I was like, I'm going to send this to you, and then many, many months went by.
Oh, I'm so hooking you up. I can't believe you sent this to me. I'm so hooking you up. Oh my God, Space. For real? Oh, dude. Yeah, that's the sexiest board in the world right there. No, it really is. Oh my
So I just
God,
left
really?
that PEX because you're going to need that for your flash strip.
Oh, dude. Yeah, Christmas definitely came early. Wow, bro. Oh my God, I don't believe it.
Well, I sent you a little work to do too, because one of those blades needs an adjustment at the end. You have to make a little part on one of your machines for both of those blades. They both have like an ugly end to them, that the way I used to do them with the hot glue.
I don't want to take it out of the package now because I'm not all SD'd out, but SD safe. Oh my gosh.
Nice.
That right there, Planet Earth, is the real deal. Crystal Focus LS. That is, I think, my favorite board of all time.
It is mine, and like I think you'll
Oof.
find that you'll be able to optimize your sound to get as close to, you kind of tune it like you tune a lightsaber to it doesn't have smooth swing, but you'll get it as close as you can.
Yeah. Well, that speeder bike font of yours is going in there for sure because that thing's insane. I can't believe it. That is so cool. I got a bunch of different variation 7.4s I never hardwired 7.4s I never used. So game on.
Oh, nice.
7.4 volt battery packs. So that's man, I'd want to build it now. Takes off. Interesting how people can change. Certain core things about you may remain constant for your entire life, but more often than not, your experience shapes you and can change you creatively. Absolutely. I used
I
to
get
be,
that. I get that. Like
yeah,
if he's referring to like the George Lucas thing,
right.
or just in general, I get it. There's just I just think that there's something to be said for a devotion, and like I appreciate when someone devotes something and then doesn't quit. I don't like quitting. I mean, not that everything
Right.
you start you have to go do it your whole life. Like I think it was Thomas Edison that said you should have 7 careers in your lifetime. I believe
Uh-huh.
in that. I believe
Me
in that to
too.
make an interesting person. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't think it's that I don't think it's too much to ask for just keep Star Wars, Lucas. Keep Star Wars because I think that was the right thing to do to keep it. I don't think 4.5 billion was enough. You know, I think Kathleen Kennedy and JJ and all them, because you know I blame them for what I consider to be problems in the new movies, but
Hmm.
I'm starting to blame George Lucas now, and I think they all need to say 4.5 Hail Marys, 4.5 billion Hail Marys, and 4.5 billion Our Fathers in penance for this tragedy. For selling
Warning.
Star Wars.
Sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
got totally distracted by your warning sheet here.
Oh, read that. That's funny, right?
Acton. Did you do a lot of? Am I going to say something stupid here? Did you do a lot of business with the Germans? Is that right?
Maybe I was listening to too many U2 songs probably or something.
Acton. You're about to work with high-powered lithium-ion batteries. Please take the necessary precautions and don't blow yourself up. Learn about the proper use of lithium-ion batteries and their properties. No one but you can be responsible for the way you handle lithium-ion batteries for any other power source. Furthermore, you must read the Plectral Labs manual for the Crystal Focus LA Saber Core. You want me to keep reading this?
No, I mean you can if you want. I think parts of it are funny.
Note, handling of the blade. Do not pull on the DIN plug of the blade is held in place. Right. You're the one who taught me. Don't twist things on this style. This is in case I need to disassemble. Oh, okay. Later date. Please do not put unnecessary forces on the DIN plug, such as pushing or pulling. Never overdrive your high-powered string blade.
See, because like one wrong move by the end user could make me have to do that all over again, like for the entire
Yeah.
weekend. So
Oof.
I'd have to like make that, you know, because it's really easy to actually blow up the FOC strip is the most important thing, because in the card, like if you didn't change something in the SD card, like the SD card I sent you is already, it's not set up great. It's just set up for like a SpaceWindu saber that I had, but if you had your SD card set up in such a way that it provided too much power to the FOC strip, it'll get so hot that it'll just melt the foam. But
Really?
yeah, because that card is controlling how much juice is going through the PEX to the FOC strip. And if the number's wrong, like it's got to be like 350. If it's like, or 300, if it's like 800, we're hosed. It'll blow up, you know, and that's just a really innocent mistake, but it could like ruin everything. So I had to like really write it out. I'm like, you gotta read your
Yeah.
manual.
Make it brainless. I didn't realize these LEDs would get hot enough to melt foam.
Well, only when like if you were destroying the LEDs,
Oh, okay. I see. Like
because
you're
like
literally
you know how,
frying them.
right, because if I like I would wire
Oh,
the
dude.
main blade to be serial L class 2, let's say, for like the blue or the green there, so that we'd split that power of the battery into 2, so we'd, you know, half that. But if the card is set up wrong, you will send all the juice to the 3.7 or the 3.3 only FOC strip. If you sent
Oof.
7.4 to that, the wires would get red hot because it just wouldn't be able to handle it. You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, so you literally are able to control the amount of current on the SD card settings.
Right. And
Interesting.
for the it's kind of the same thing that we were dealing with the Profi the other day, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like if the settings are wrong inside there on the clash and the FOC. That's where your problems will come out. Just like with the Profi, kind of, it's like you remember how we would try to get the problems come out by clashing or by lockup, because that puts a lot of strain on things. Almost the same thing with that crystal focus. It's like that FOC strip in there is a totally separate strip, not wired in that. It's just wired parallel. So it's just like all the way up, boom. That's it. So it just can't take that type of juice if you send all the power of the battery to it. So there's just one little setting in there. It's called FOCD, I think. And if that number is wrong, things could fry. But that's just the one thing to look out for on that.
Yeah, I won't be messing with that then. So is the FOC a separate pad on the CFLS?
Right. So you'll actually send the you'll have 8 wires coming off of your
right.
Like you have like 8 LED wires basically, and one of those will be going to that PEX pad, and the common positive will be the positive. There's a special pad for that, which is basically connected to the main positive of the board, basically through kind of like on the Profi, what they did away with on the 2.0 or the 2.2 version of the Profi, where they made it so you didn't have to do that special connection wiring that you did on the 1.5. The CFLS is kind of like that. I think I left it on that board so you can see. So you might want to redo it in a better wiring job, but that is, I just left it there so you could see that does have to be connected for this to work, because it's just like an external. If he had made let's say a Crystal Focus LS 7.0, that probably wouldn't have been there anymore.
Right.
He probably would have integrated it, but he never did that. It got discontinued.
Interesting. Yeah, I noticed that on was it whose Graphics did we build together? It was on his Crystal Focus LX.
Brad.
LS. Yeah, Brad's. I saw that you had the jumper wires on there as well.
Yeah.
I was like, interesting.
Master
Melissa
Jedi,
says,
I'm not sure if you're aware, but I was navigating between light and dark side a little, but now I'm back to light. And about my saber, not sure if I have to meditate on it. Let's see if she continues. I feel like the last night was my first steps into a larger world. Definitely.
Yeah,
I feel like that too.
I've been following your saber, Melissa, through Megtooth, and then they were talking about it on Facebook as well. So Jakesoft says, "Oh, so that's the SpaceWindu origin story."
He must have been talking about all my broken projects that I had to repair. That's like when I got my first saber forges. I thought I was so stupid early on. I got into the forum and I'm looking at all these boards that it wasn't a lot of board. I can't imagine somebody stepping into the hobby now with all of these boards. I'd be very confused, because I was confused 10 years ago when I stepped in, and there was 3 boards. So there was the Ultra Sabers board, which was an US 2.0, and they also had a US 1.0. There was the Saber Sound board from Saber Forge, the Saber Sound 2.0. There was the Hyperblade board, which I loved. There was the Crystal Focus, right? Now, I heard that the Crystal Focus was the best one. So I went after this, but I went after it immediately once stepping into the Saber hobby and being very stupid. And I got confused on the terms. I was like, Crystal Focus 3.0, Crystal Focus 2.5. That's what I'm looking for. Crystal Focus 4.3. I think I'm looking for that. Then I go on eBay and it's Ultra US 2.5. I'm like, that's it. The Crystal Focus. That's what I want. So I would buy that saber for $500 just because it has a US 2.5 in it. It gets to my house. I'm like, it's broken. Plus, it's not the thing I want. And I'm like, shit, I have to fix this. And
well,
it took me so many purchases to get to that. No, I never actually got a crystal, because when I finally smartened up, the Crystal Focus was you couldn't get it. So I made a friend, though, on the forums. I made a couple friends, and he became one of my best friends, Dan. He was Revan Reborn on the forums, and he says, listen, he goes, I got a couple Crystal Focuses. He's like, I'll give you one. I was like, what?
That's a
He's
good
like, I'll
friend.
give you a CF5. And like the CF5 had just come out. I was like, oh my God, dude. The CF5. So he lived in Jersey. He came over. He taught me a lot about building sabers too. You know, like I was good at the hilts. I was like, I know how to do the hilts. I like doing that. But I'm shit at wiring. So he goes, all right, let me teach you how to wire. So he showed me how to wire it better and all.
Is this before Mad Cow's videos?
I guess so, yeah. Or around the time of those coming out pretty consistently around that time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched the crap out of those. This is one of my favorite things you put in there. I don't have one of these.
Oh, the blade end protector?
Yeah, man, it's a custom
Nice.
Saber Shop one. I don't know why I don't have one of these. This thing's cool.
I want to get someone like with my logo. I don't know how to make that happen.
Huh.
I guess China or something. Maybe
Well,
JB Kuma can tell me how
that's
or
what
something.
I'm wondering what these are for.
Well, it's really good for the CFLS because if you take a look at that now, some of these blades that I sent you are
No,
years old.
I meant, are these like something?
Oh,
to go
like from some. Oh, they're definitely from something else, and then they're
they
just
like a
got the logo
bar.
on it. Yeah, maybe it's like a bottle cap thing or something.
Right.
But it's great for protecting the
Yeah.
CFLS like type or the 8-pin DIN plug type ends because even though I store them like in my bedroom where it shouldn't be like wet or anything, you could see there's a little like they get dirty or something on the contacts. So I feel like that's a really good thing to like just over time the contacts because they're nickel plated. I guess nickel doesn't really like I don't know. It doesn't really fend off that stuff happening.
Not very well, no.
I guess if it was silver, no, even if it was silver, it would still tarnish.
Well, isn't it nickel plated brass under there? And so I think the nickel plating scrapes off the more and more you put it in and out of the saber, and then the brass is exposed. And then the parts of the brass that were making contact in there, I think they start to get a little corrosion on them. So because that used to happen with my turntable head shells all the time when you put the needles on and off the turntable, I'd have to get in there with an eraser and like grind down the brass contacts again to get it to work.
Yeah, like I never had trouble as far as like it contacting. Like it's got a pretty nice friction in there when it goes into the saber, but just for the look, I was like this could stop working because it looks like it could stop, but every time I put it in, it would work, you know. But I was like, you know, it is getting corroded just by being on Earth.
Right. Dude, you pack these bulletproof, man. I like it. Get out my gun. I don't have one of those. What am I talking about? This is great. Oh, dude. Did you sand this one?
I don't think oh, maybe I did.
It's got a flat finish to it. That's why.
Maybe I sanded that one.
I've only ever done that one time. This looks great. How the heck do you get the sanding so smooth? No, that's probably a trade secret, huh?
I actually, yeah, I'm not remembering because that blade was probably made in 2014.
Wow, yeah, the sanding on this is like, I can barely tell. Like, it's just a nice, smooth, flat finish, which is great. Nice work, dude. Oh my God, I'm so stoked. I can't wait.
I wish you could see those on right now. I think you'd like freak out. Like maybe not with the blue because the blue's pretty similar to like a NeoPixel, but that green one I think is brighter than a NeoPixel by a few thousand lux. I think when I shoved it in there, I think I told you it was 7,000 and a normal NeoPixel's like 4,000 maybe out of a photon.
Yeah, I wanted to buy a Makoto when you were putting them up on your channel. Oh God, how long ago was that? 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah, like when I used to have a lot of Makotos and then sell them.
Yeah, I wanted to buy one because I was just like, I gotta see this brightest blade in the world thing because I hadn't experienced it yet. So
my favorite thing was like showing my friends, and they would say, "Stop! It's too bright," and then I knew that it was good.
That's what Barbara does with the NeoPixel. She's like, get out of here with that.
Like when I had a roommate a few years ago, I would show him. I'm like, Sean, look at this blade, and he goes, "Oh, so bright." Because like he'd be already like laying on the couch. I basically like wake him up from a nap. So I guess that would make it worse for him.
Attack someone with a hangover.
It's too bright.
They'd
No,
hate
but
you.
I would have a lot of people turn around. I'm telling you, like a lot of people go, oh, and they turn their head and put their hands up. So I know that it's working.
He just gave up, huh? So Melissa says, "Dang, I bet you would get double whammy Graphics similar to Darth Maul, only it's a Graphics."
Yeah, like when you were selling your double bladed
Gosh, do I have?
connectors.
Yeah. Um.
You like your boards mature, says Jake Soft.
That is true. I love my old school boards. I've got a Crystal Focus 4.5 in Yoda's first gen chassis, and that thing's just cool. I love just looking at it, and it's fairly responsive still. What's weird is the format on the SD card space. The the sound files are in some weird font format.
On what?
Raw or on the Crystal Focus 4.5 in that
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
it's
that
an
is
old.
weird.
What the
If you
heck
need
do you
like
open
fonts and
that
stuff for
with?
that, with like I may have some fonts. I think it works the same, don't you? Like, you flash the card, you get, but yet, your fonts have to be set up. Like if you use the CF5 or later fonts, it won't work. So it's got to be like the CF 4.4 fonts and below, which
It's a
I have.
weird.
Like back in the day, with like how now they sell the font with Crystal Focus X and Profi versions. Back in the day, they would say, this is a Crystal Focus 5 and here's the 4 and below version, because
Yeah,
that's just how it happened.
I want to say it's like a dot raw. I can't remember. It's a
I think you
weird
might be
file
right with the
format.
raw. Yeah, something
I
like
can't
that.
open it in any of my audio editing programs. I even tried with downloading a free version of Audacity, and there's a bunch of different settings in there you can mess with. And I
I
can
think
open.
the program people used to say that they made the fonts with was Gold Wave.
Oh, geez.
That's from a long time ago, and I think
Yeah.
that was like the free one back in the day.
I wonder if
Um,
it's proprietary or something because it's
like I
because
think
it.
they would have stuff with Audacity and and then you had to use Gold Wave for something. There was like a tutorial on FX Sabers a while back on how to do it.
Interesting. Because I could open them in Audacity, but they were like they either sound like Minnie Mouse or like they
Right.
were super sped up, like the frequency or whatever hertz range was off.
It's the hurt. Yeah, it's like that.
And no matter
Oh, I
where
wanted
you,
to ask you.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, no matter where you adjusted the frequency, I couldn't get it to sound right ever in
Right.
Audacity. It's weird.
Because I think it's a couple step process to
Yeah.
convert it, or to make it work.
What were you gonna ask me?
Oh, maybe I'm trying to think what day would be good because of the holiday weekend. I got a bunch of stuff to do over the weekend. I'm not going to be home a lot of the time, but maybe like next week. I think I'm going to be busy Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I don't know. Like to get back on with. Mark sent an email
Oh, I was gonna ask
about
you about that.
he sent a couple emails with some more information. So I was thinking, I kind of ran out of time, and then I was telling you I was a little bit sick earlier. I didn't get a chance to really play with that thing enough to uncover those issues. So I was thinking, maybe I play with it some over the weekend. We uncover the problem. He said that he was on the font which shows the battery level, and he said it never went below 3/4. So, didn't seem like it was that. He said that he tried both blades. It was doing it on both blades. The blade that he
Whoa,
showed in the video, plus the blade I have here. Yeah, so there was
weird.
I'll open up those emails and kind of read them to you when we do it. But there was a couple clues there, I think.
Because I have spent days and days, with the Profi tuning it, and then heck, just laying on the couch for draining an entire battery, just laying on the couch, and I've never seen there be zero animation for lockup. That was weird. Like I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
Did he happen to tell you I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if he said it happened with your blade as well, but I was just curious where that trans white blade came from.
Oh, I should ask him. Yeah, I should ask him. Or
I was
maybe if
just,
he's listening, he might say.
yeah, not that it matters if he was having the problem with yours too, but I was just curious.
Melissa says, when it comes to my NeoPixel blade, I'm worried about if I go wrong, I could have a mess it up. No, I don't think so. I
No,
don't
you
think
don't.
you can mess it up because the NeoPixel blade's so easy. Like that was one of the things when that came out, and at first I was using DIN plugs where if you rotated things, you could crunch wires. But then when Alex Gordon developed that disc
Yeah,
for the connection system that uses pogo pins, you really can't mess it up. That's the nice thing about it. It's like unmessable because you twist it and turn it and then nothing's going to break. It's pretty nice.
it is nice. Pogo pins are genius. That's actually how some of the R2 builders do R2's dome, so it can spin 360 degrees. It's a big pogo pin type of connector in there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I've seen them set it up that way.
I'm getting some proprietary pin setups from my hilts coming from JB Kuma next week. He's actually coming over Tuesday, and they've been made to like a higher standard by JB Kuma. I think they're gold contacts for my pins. I can't remember what he said.
Is this the one
Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think he said they might have been gold. So like yeah, I'm getting like Civilized Sabers pins in their own housing, which are going to be for the hilts I make and stuff. And so it's like a star pattern where like the TCSS ones, they're only on like half of the pad or they're only on like half of the pod.
right?
Mine are like in a star pattern across the whole thing.
Ah, very cool. I'm using the heck out of the ones you sent me, the blade plug ones. Those are fun.
Oh yeah, I think I told you. I don't know. I'm getting the on Tuesday as well when JB comes by. He's going to bring me the ones that are they're going to be for the blade plugs, but they're also going to double as the blade end. You could use them as your blade end.
Nice.
That's what I'm kind of looking forward to because I like that idea. I mean, I know it's not that big a deal, but just to have that light from the bottom, kind of like the stock pin sets that he has.
Yeah, because it does help with that. Like if you got a shallow, thin neck blade socket, it's really good for that
Yeah.
to illuminate that bottom half or whatever, that bottom inch or whatever that. I think I told you I started soldering my NeoPixel strips straight to the PCB with a crap ton of solder and then filling
Right.
up.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
been
I love
working.
that.
It's been working great, but then again, I haven't gone out and smacked any trees yet. I need to try that.
I think the fact that you epoxy it or whatever there is a great way that it's got to be solid as could be.
I would
It's got to
think.
be.
Yeah, you would think for sure. Melissa says, I sometimes use magnifier to see the pictures on TRA, but when I need help reading, I use a screen reader. Cool. This is the saber that Space was talking about, Melissa, the brass flex.
Well, let's
This is
make your
actually made out of
screen bigger
solid
here.
brass. I don't know if it's got any juice in it. I just pulled it off the shelf. But let's try to fire it up. This is Jakesoft. This is the DIY Eno in
Ooh.
here. Yeah. So
Oh, I love that
Jakesoft
chassis,
says,
bro. That's beautiful.
oh, thanks. Jakesoft says, you guys hear about NEC going on hiatus. At least Plector Labs is still in the game. I
did
did,
hear
Jake.
that. Is something wrong with Scott?
Yeah.
I heard he had a health issue.
He's got having a bunch of health issues.
Oh,
What a great guy too. Like,
I
and I
think
really
someone
like
said
his
that in my.
boards.
Oh, I just love Scott.
Yeah,
I really hope he's going to be okay.
me too.
I did hear that, Jake. I heard it was because of Scott's health, and I felt really bad about that. I hope
Let's
he
see if
gets
this.
better.
Yeah, I think he's actually spending his time right now building a full size R2.
Oh, okay, good for him
Yeah,
then.
I saw something on Facebook. Let's see. This thing got any juice in it? Hey, look at that.
Nightfall.
Oh, hey. I don't believe it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this has the remote. This was the first one I did the remote control RGB. Oh,
Is that the independent style thing where it's
it
like an
is.
independent? But in that one, you didn't do it to where you're doing it in the current saber you're working on, where it like recharges it, right? Does this one you have to take it out to recharge it or something, or does the saber recharge it?
No, it's just hardwired. So when the saber gets power, the crystal
Oh,
chamber also
okay.
gets power. This
Oh,
actually isn't. This is an old RGB disc in here, so this isn't even the right remote for it.
oh,
This, yeah, interesting. Huh. So like if I turn it back off, it'll go back to just flashing RGB. I think I got to pull that one out of the drawer that controls this saber. It's
yeah. I
been a
got so
while since
many of
I've
those
had this
remotes
out.
around too. I have to keep them in all different places so I remember what things they go to.
Yeah. Jigsaw says, I'm all about open source, but much respect for those guys. Yeah. Yeah, they pioneered the old school boards for sure. That's a lot of work. All of it's a lot of work. God, you guys and your programming, I can't even wrap my head around that. Melissa says, a fear SF due to the sharp hilts. Oh,
Saberforge, yeah, those
Saberforge. Yeah.
Saberforge cut my hands. I used to spin. I have one of my first videos is like it's called like spinning a Saberforge lightsaber or something.
Oof.
I don't know if I showed it in that video. I probably didn't. But after that video, and I was whipping the thing around like a freak. And after the
yourself.
video, my hand was all cut up and bleeding, and I didn't feel it
Ah.
because it was like micro incisions. Because it
Oh.
was like a grenade section on the Saberforge that I just gotten in the mail, and I take it out and I start swinging it, and I made a video real quick, and then I look at my hand. My hand had like 9 lacerations on it.
Oh my God.
And it was bleeding. And I was like, damn it, man.
Yeah, I'm not being mean, but I don't have one of their sabers. I just couldn't
I
do
never
that.
liked them, yeah, because I had bad experience with them, and then I heard about other people's bad experience, and I was like, oh no, they're awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they weren't even using chassis forever. They would just throw a card and some batteries in there. It's just like, what are you guys doing?
And there was a bunch of hot glue in there.
Yeah, yeah. Jakesoft says, to me, NEC and Plectral Labs were always kind of like Intel, and AMD always trading blows, but both pretty good. I agree. I actually have enjoyed both of those brands equally. I really liked how Scott, my favorite thing was the demo mode where you could put the NEC igniter into demo mode and just let it sit there and it would just roll through all the fonts and play all the sounds just sitting on the shelf. It was so cool. That was my favorite thing about it.
I think Scott was always innovating too. I really like that. There was always had a video of new stuff that he was doing.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to try the real swing yet. I hear that's pretty cool. I'm gonna upgrade my one of my NEC boards to that and see what that's how it feels. I hear it's different than smooth swing. Let's see, is this thing gonna fire up? Oh yeah, look at that. You know what, Jake? I need you to help me calibrate my motion settings because I can't seem to get them quite right on this thing. I know it's kind of weird the way you have to load it up on Arduino and tweak it. So I've never really quite there. I mean, it works. There you go. Yeah, it actually works. But I know it could be better. Cool. I can't believe this thing still got power. I don't think I've turned this on in like 6-8 months. Lithiums.
That's amazing.
Gotta love them. Bam. Matter of fact, I think that thing's programmed for NeoPixel right now. Oh, I got the blade plug in. I'd have to get that out first. Go grab my green NeoPixel blade that uses the Ethernet connector. I can show you some of the animations on here. It's basically Fireblade and a couple other variations. Show you the new OS.
Yeah, that is weird that little rivalry is now on hiatus. But the
Yeah.
summertime always brought a stillness to the saber world. I mean, that hasn't it. I mean, it's accelerated so much that it's probably not really the case anymore. But the summer was always, you know, people would go. I know Irv would go on vacation for the whole month of August usually. So I just kind of took it as the saber land would kind of be on vacation for weeks at a time, or even the whole summer. But nowadays things move so fast. You know, Fett's making styles, and Frederick's making boards, and KR's making pixel sticks, and everybody's got their own thing, and everybody's contributing something that to the fact that everywhere you look, every day you turn on Instagram, you see that there's a new product.
Yeah. Space and I are losing our minds trying to do world's firsts.
Yeah, it's like the only videos that get any views are world's first videos. If you don't have like a world's first video, they don't want it. They don't give a shit.
Except now people can see how frustrating they've been trying to do a rumble motor and 2 speakers in a Profi. They're like, huh, that world's first stuff, I don't know.
It's not all it's cracked up to be.
It looks so glorious when it's done.
That's the beauteous part.
Yeah.
And you know, if I could freeze time, I would be an old man to you right now, because I would have frozen time for years trying to just complete the sabers that I've got, and then I would appear to you as like a 72-year-old right now. You'd be like, "What happened?" I'd be like, "Dude, I used my little time watch and forget it. It's over. The sabers are done though, but I'm 80."
That's how I feel sometimes. After spending 10 hours straight on the mill, I'm like, oh, what happened? Time warp. Dude, you're into it. His eyes look killer.
I love
man.
coloring, dude. Like I wanted to get to this stage, but as you could tell, I'm not done inking. Like, okay, that guy's inked, but then these guys are all rough. But I'm just going ahead over here just to make it a little more interesting for you guys.
Oh, I'm just sitting here zoning out on his face. You've gotten way into it, man. Looks incredible. That is one talent I do not have.
But you do graphic design, you said, right? Or you used to?
Yeah, I did it for 15, 16 years.
See, everybody in my school, like when I went to college, they said, "Okay, so what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to draw comic books." And they're like, "Okay, graphic design."
Ah.
You know, and I had to get in that line. So like, it's like, I guess that's how I got into graphic design. A lot of people in my class were like artists like this, and they were sitting there kind of stunned, thinking that, you know, I thought we were going to draw comics maybe, and it's like, no, graphic design. You know, it's like Peter Parker's boss, J. Jonah Jameson, was like, "No job, freelance." You know, they were like, no comics, graphics.
Yep. Did you ever go to Photoshop school?
Yeah,
Self-taught.
I had many classes in Photoshop. The one that was hardest for me to get, I mean, I would even do additional classes. Like, I was really lucky because my dad was so into computers that even when I was like a little kid, I was like 13, I was 12, he would drop me off. This was like 1990. He'll drop me off at a Saturday whole day school thing about like Microsoft Paint. And I would just be like, "What?" But I mean, it was awesome for me. I was so happy, you know.
Wow.
Or like he dropped me off for 4 hours on a Saturday, be like, "Here, go. You're gonna go learn about this painting program." I'm like, okay,
Cool, Dad. Go, Dad. That's awesome.
So, you know, because he knew what I was into, and even though he wasn't into that stuff, he, like, I guess, knew where to bring me. Like there was one time he brought me to the local college, and I was like 12. And he was like, "Here, meet all these professors. You're probably going to go here someday." So I started, you know, shaking hands with all these professors. Turns out many years later, I did go there. And the professor I shook hands with, she was the dean of the art department by that point. So I had kind of like some weird circumstances I was trying to enter the school on. And she remembered me. And she was like, "Okay, you know, bring in some of your artwork and stuff like that." So I bring in my artwork. And she's like, "Do you know how to do InDesign?" Was like one of the things she asked me. And she's like, "Do you know how to do InDesign?" I was like, "No, I know how to do like Photoshop and Illustrator." She's like, "Okay, well, you have to know how to do InDesign, so you better figure that out this summer."
Yeah.
And that I'll admit you on the fact that you promised me you will, fucking figure it out. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. So, I mean, she became my like greatest ally at the school too. She's awesome. Pat Crescent, and I graduated out of her art department.
Nice. Did you ever use Quark?
Yeah, that was even
That's
earlier
what I
than
used.
that. I
Yeah.
was using Quark for my
And
like freelance jobs and stuff. And she's like, you don't know InDesign, but it's similar to Quark. And I was like, okay, well, I'll probably get it.
Yeah, and then in InDesign you could make it emulate Quark to where it would.
Yes,
That was so weird.
Quark was such a C word. Oh my god, Quark was the worst. Like when I forgot the little quibbles that it would do, but it would just mess with you. I think it would quit. Like I had this. I was an intern at another school. I was an intern at their art department, and they gave me, as the intern, you're just going to get the worst machine. So I had like an what was it? I don't even remember the designation, but it was basically like it was an Apple, but it was
old iMac.
Maybe it was an old iMac, yeah, where it was like the all-in-one screen and everything, but it was just dog slow. It wasn't. It was right below a G3. So you know how they had the G3 and then the G4 came out, but below the G3 was like a shittier thing. That's what it was like an Apple E, or it was like an it was like an eMac. I think they called it the eMac. It was called the eMac. Do you remember this shit?
Yeah.
It was a piece of garbage, bro. Like the eMac. That's what I had to work on, and Quark would quit all the time on the eMac.
I'll bet.
But I mean, it was already like, it wasn't one of the best computers. The other people in the office had a G3. One lady had a G4. She had like the top of the line shit.
Even the G4 by today's standards is a boat anchor. Oh my god.
That's awful. Yeah, it'd be awful today. But that was the shit. Like when my friend got a G, I was like, you got a G4? What?
Right. You're balling.
Yeah, you're gonna video edit something.
Video edit something. a 30-second poor quality YouTube clip back in the day. Oh man, how
that would take all night to upload, probably.
Yeah, and then it was horrible resolution. It was like what, 720.
Melissa says, I'm waiting for my magnifier device for my comic magnifier so I can read comics. Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Whoa, Brass Flex.
Brass Flex. That's a nifty name, isn't it? You know what else he's got, Melissa? You will not believe this. You will not believe this. He has a glass flex made of glass. Maybe he'll be kind enough to pull that out of whatever crystal cave that's in right now.
Yeah, I actually
Brass Flex is badass.
I have to stand on the arm of the couch because it's way up on top of the
don't worry.
bookshelf.
We don't want you to fall off.
Yeah.
Plus, I think you're locked in that one room, so we don't want you to go out into the main room.
Right. Trapped again.
How long are you like quarantining yourself in there till the end of the week?
Yeah, I was gonna go 7 to 10 days, depending on when I run out of food.
But before you said you were gonna take a shower, does that mean you got access to the bathroom from that room?
Yeah. I'm in the master bedroom, so it's all good in here. I got all the comforts of home. I had to go out and buy my own coffee maker and a mini fridge, and so I'm set.
Oh my god, you just mentioned coffee. Now I want I think I got to go grab a coffee, because like before we started this, I meant to get a decaf out of my machine, and then I don't have it. I forgot it. So maybe since I just heard the dog get up, maybe I will see if he wants to go out and grab that coffee.
There you go. Fetch, buddy. Wouldn't that be cool?
This guy's getting tossed.
That's so badass, Space.
And I want to move over to the saber, so we can do that while you're on the stream, and really make that look like it's your hilt, because your hilt's crazy.
The fact that you're on the iPad, all that's non-destructive. That is so cool that you can just do whatever you want color-wise.
Yeah, well, and they got some fancy brushes too. So I don't know, some of the brushes you have to buy. Now, I didn't buy anything, but maybe it's on here because some cool things are on here. Like, for instance, when I get to the crystals, there's a brush that does lighting effects that's just crazy. So when I get to the crystals, that'll be fun. I'm hoping there's a fire one because I'm going to have this guy blasting fire. And if there's otherwise I'll just draw it. But if there's a fire thing, that'd be wild.
Jake Soft says, Brass Flex is badass. Thanks, Jake. I remember, because you kind of knew what this was, Space, when I made the video. You were like, oh, Brass Flex. And there was a guy on eBay was selling them for a while, but was he the only one? One Ober One was his name on eBay.
Well, I don't know who inspired who. Maybe you inspired other people or that guy did, but my friend, I think, if I'm not mistaken, my friend who I was speaking of before, Dan, who used to come over a lot to help me, with electronics and stuff, I think he had his own version of it. Like, somebody must have inspired other people to think of that or do it, because I remember he had something I think he was calling a Brass Flex that he had made in his garage or something. You know what I mean? And I think a bunch of people must have either caught on to yours or caught on to that guy's or had the idea that I don't know, because I can remember some other posts as well. I think, maybe it was someone was passing around yours or something. It's possible I saw your video before I actually became aware of you, because I think Brad made me be aware of you because Brad was around there looking for someone to do his chassis. And then he came to me with your name, and either it rang a bell or I saw your work already, previous to that, but we had never talked or anything.
Right. Yeah, I remember you watched the Crystal Chamber video. That was before Brad. You mentioned you made a comment on there or something.
Oh, okay.
When I was just doing Crystal Chambers. But I was going back to the Brass Flex thing. I remember Tim from TCSS sold some on the site.
Okay.
So I don't know who was doing those. Like, I don't know if he hired the guy that I got this one from, or what the deal was. But I mean, the guy did a really good job on this one.
Oh, I thought you made that one. That's why I was confused, I guess. I thought you made that one.
Well, I bought the basic shell. Like, he had done all the.
Then you did the whole interior chassis.
Yeah, and then I cut out copper strips from copper tubing and drilled and tapped. So these will come off. These hand grips. You can actually swap these out, put different bolts in there to make it look all different. The name of this one's actually Steam Flex. This is my steampunk lightsaber that I took to sell or Comic-Con.
I remember you had a video of all these out on the table and you were kind of going over them.
Yeah, that was like the Crystal Chamber video. But I did this one like all steampunk style. And Barbara and I dressed up as Star Wars steampunk characters. She was a steampunk Rey at Comic-Con. She did a badass job. But the one thing I like about this saber is the main button on the top. I put like a toned down version of a single flashlight Tri-Cree white LED. Inside the button, and then put a magnifying glass on top of it.
What?
It will blind you if you look at it.
I don't like that. No, I don't like that. Like, I have an accent LED on one of my sabers that is so bright. I had to put a piece of tape over it. I was like, this is too much.
Look at,
oh my!
I can't look right at it.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
No, but that's actually good for like walking around at night, though.
Exactly. That's what I use it for. It's literally a flashlight.
That's great for walking around at night. Yeah, that's good.
It's funny.
That's interesting too. That actually looks like a real, like, that's out of the Star Wars world, because I could imagine that would serve that purpose too. Like, why not? You have your diatom power cell in your lightsaber, and why not, just like your iPhone or your cell phone has a flashlight to it as a little app, why not the lightsaber?
Right.
Harris
Yep.
made one of his lightsabers have his crystal chamber was lit by a full power fucking tricree. Like he had two
It was heating
tricrees in
up.
there.
That's
He had
funny.
one at the base of the crystal chamber and one in the emitter. And I
Oh
was
my
like, oh my
gosh.
god, this is crazy, man. It's
That
so powerful.
must have got pretty warm in there.
Yeah, it must have.
You know, one thing that I do wish more of the board makers would do, and I noticed that Irv did it on the CFX, and I'm so proud of him, is putting a status light on there. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
so the DIY Eno, Jake Soft will know, the DIY Eno has 3 status lights on it. I love that about that board. I kind of wish they would come along and do that with the Profi, something just
Yeah,
like,
well,
hey,
you know what?
I'm
That actually
uploading, or
Yeah, well, you know what? You just gave me a great idea. Now I can't use it, but maybe one of these board manufacturers can, like Irv, is I would pay more. I would pay more for them to give me
yes,
the CF10 with the SMD LEDs already soldered on there.
dude,
I
I
don't even
just had
care
that
what
thought today.
color. I don't
That's
even
really
care. Yeah,
weird.
make them all yellow. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
And like I'll give you like more like the old prices. Like I'll give you like $130 now. You know, just like
so weird.
put all of them on there for me, and then we'll have a blinky ass board, and you'll save me a headache and like 4 hours. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually a great idea to, because yeah, when Irv has them manufactured, you know, you just hey, add the resistors and on the one side, and then the
Just have it stamped. I mean, it's got to be like the
bam.
same as the rest of the components. Like when I was having my stuff made with JB Kuma, I mean, there was a couple things he came back with. He was like, "Oh, should we put the resistor just on there?" I was like, "Yeah, do it." And then a couple minutes later, he's like, "Done." You know, he's like, "Should we add this to?" Yeah, if you can. And then he would come back. You know, a couple hours later, he's like, "Okay, we did it." So it's not like, you know, something that's never been done before. I think if you've got
Yeah,
the one LED, just say put 9 of them on there, that one plus the 8, and then I'll pay, and then put that as a second product. Call it the Crystal Focus X Elite.
there you go.
You know, and maybe you have something else is special about it. I don't know. Maybe the contacts are better, or maybe it's a color. You know, make it some kind of color. And
crystal focus excessive.
yeah.
That'd be awesome because yeah, those lights are amazing. I'm actually gonna give it my all and try to put them on the CFX going into your guys' build.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hope Scott didn't contract you know what 19. Yeah, hope not, Melissa. That would be awful. Scott's an awesome dude.
No, it wasn't that. Oh, I forget. He had like a rare type of digestive disease or something going on.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, great guy. And he's a Rush fan, so I knew he was cool.
So I always give people that are Star Wars fans a pass, you know.
Absolutely.
Like anyone that's a Star Wars fan, I'm like, they're good in my book. I don't care if we disagree or on something or whatever. It's all good.
Common ground.
Melissa says, I'm looking for an extension cord that you can plug your saber in. I love what Kyberphonic does, what Jesse at Kyberphonic does, and now I saw Fonts by Fours is doing it too, where he has got his lightsaber plugged in direct for his demos. Plugged in direct to audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of these days I'll got to figure out how to get Jesse a Bluetooth saber. I think he'd enjoy that. There's still like a third of a second of delay, but it's barely detectable. You have to like really concentrate on the sound to feel that it's, you know, delayed.
Yeah, Real Swing is the NEC proprietary name for a smooth type of swing system. Because, you know, smooth swing is for Arduino, I guess, for Profi. That's what they call it. And then if you have, well, I guess does Crystal Focus call it smooth swing, or I don't know.
Yeah, because they use the same Thexter algorithm.
I see. Okay,
That's free. that affects their
Okay, because
algorithm
it's
that
all
makes,
open source, they're
yeah,
able to just call it the same thing. But I guess with Scott, he wasn't going to go the open source route, and he went a different way, and he called it Real Swing, and has some different aspects to the way it operates. NEC was the first closed source board maker
to
to do
do
pixel
pixel
blades.
blades.
Really? Okay. I
Yeah.
remember that when was it the R2 Igniter 2? I bought a couple of them. I installed NeoPixel. You know what I realized about it though, and I think Scott did too, because on the next one he changed it.
The strip
The
type.
the data line or the what were you about to say, Jedi Arms Dealer?
It was, I remember they weren't compatible with like all the other strips that most of the boards were compatible with, so it got confusing, right?
From what I remember, tell me if you had the same issue. Was that the it couldn't handle the current? There was a line, the positive line to the um, like basically either was the data or all of the lines to the NeoPixel on the board were too weak. Too weak. And on the next one, and it would mess up the NeoPixel. And that's what happened to me. And the next board, he put a more robust line. I think it might have been the data line or the positive line. I can't remember. But he had even kind of said it. He was like, this one will hold the current better.
I've not done NeoPixel on NEC. Is that maybe space before we knew we had to wire the strip straight to the battery positive?
Um,
Because
yeah, I can't
I
remember the
remember,
details. This is a few years
yeah,
back. I think if I remember correctly, it had to do with like the data line not being able to hold. I think this is what it was. Because then when I was talking to Irv about like my own problems I was having with like working with Prism and Nano Biscotti and stuff, was that I was using, because you remember early on, and I think a lot of people must have thought this way, including I'm thinking Scott too. I don't know, but I'm thinking he's probably way smarter than me with this type of stuff. But you remember early on, it's like when we all switched from NeoPixel or from using 7.4 battery packs, and we were going to NeoPixel, and the wires that we used with our standard LED hilts were totally different. They were, you could use 30 gauge, you could use 28 gauge, no problem.
right. Yep.
And then what happened was, I think the line on Scott's board, the first NeoPixel he ever did, was it couldn't handle the load of these high power batteries.
The
And I
actual
forget,
PCB trace was too thin, huh?
the trace was, yes, and you could even see it on the board, because when he redesigned the board for the next year, 6 months later, and I think it was the R3, or maybe I'm getting the designation wrong, but it was the next version, that you could visibly see the tracer was like double as thick. And he said it in, he would have like videos, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, all the improvements. And he mentioned it in one of those videos. Like I would listen to those videos as I would drive and stuff. And I remember him saying something like, yeah, I improved the tracer so that it can handle the load now. And I was like, oh, that must have been my issue, because I would see like rainbow stuff happen. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I think some other people had that issue too.
Huh. Yeah, I've
Jedi
not
Arms
done.
Dealer. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I haven't done a NeoPixel on NEC yet. I've got a couple old Igniter 3s in the box still, so I'm gonna mess with that because I do like that board. Go ahead, Space Jad. Depending on how you have it wired, you may be able to throw Stream on there. Its motion engine tends to be much more responsive than FX. Yeah, I remember that because your OS has the motion kind of ready to go out of the box, whereas LSA, oh, you got FSSOS. LSOS is the one I'm still running. I don't remember now.
I'm going to be right back. 1 second, guys.
Yep. You know what's funny about this Steam Flex brass flex saber that I did, Jakesoft, is this was right when the NeoPixel technology was hitting, and so I did not know that you needed a high amp battery. because this was like, you know, way back when the technology was brand new. So this has a standard TCS hardwired battery in it. And it runs the NeoPixels, but what's weird about this saber is when I charge it all the way up to full, for some reason, it won't run the NeoPixel blade when the battery's full. The board cuts out. And so what I have to do is use like the segmented string blade or just a Tri-Cree LED in here because I can run all three blade types in here by reprogramming the board. But I'll have to drain down the battery like 10% with the Tri-Cree setup or the segmented string setup, and then put the NeoPixel blade in it, and it'll work for hours like that. So I never really quite understood why that is. I'm sure it's because the battery can't handle the current of the NeoPixel blade, but it's strange that when the battery drains, then it'll work. It's very weird, but one of the quirks of the Steam Flex. Good stuff. Out stream though. I remember you sent me the message and said you were getting ready to release it. I'd be interested to do that on this on the DIY Eno board. Has Andros released his most recent board that has built-in Bluetooth data transfer with the charge circuit on the side of the board? I really like that design a lot. I'm curious if that's out yet. And did he end up going with smooth swing or a proprietary type of thing? That's because I noticed in one of his demos, he's got a video where it sounds like smooth swing, and I didn't know if it was or his own version of it or your guys' own version of it, if you helped him with it. Curious. Maybe we'll grab the NeoPixel blade and see if this saber will fire it up after sitting on the shelf for, God, 7-8 months. Be right back. All right. I got the NeoPixel blade here. Let's see what happens. I think this saber's going on almost 4 years old. Oops, got to get the blade plug out.
Nightfall.
Yep. Lights up the NeoPixel. Even after sitting on the shelf. That's crazy. Yep. Let's see if I got animation effects on this old saber.
Config mode, sound fun. Nightfall. Crystal focus.
Red blade. It's kind of cool that the newer OS, because it gives you like a a preview of what the blade's going to do before you even fire it up. There we go.
Infig mode.
Oh, yeah. That actually works.
Which one of your Star Wars lightsabers or join me? Go! I got it! Me too! Zap! Zap! Zap!
Looks like we got Mundo here. Thanks for joining us, Mundo.
So this is the DIY Eno Space.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is
Check
programmed
this
for
out.
NeoPixel, and this is a fire blade.
Fire. Blue fire. That looks fantastic. What
Yeah.
type of blade you got in there? Just like a modern blade or something from early on?
This is just a straight 50-50 using the Ethernet connector before
Looks
the pogo
awesome.
pins came out.
So that blade, like you use for that saber only, or there's multiple sabers you have that use that connection?
No, this blade for this saber only.
Very cool.
Yeah, the newest OS,
Infig mode.
I
Sound
think.
font.
What's interesting is when you're changing fonts, it'll show you what the blade will do before you even ignite it. So then you go to the next font, and then
Oh,
this is.
you mean
is a red.
and you have the opportunity to change it at that stage, or just previewing what's there?
No, you have the opportunity to change it at this stage before you even activate the saber.
Oh, that is so cool. It
So
looks
it's a kind of a-
fantastic.
It's like a different approach to tweaking your blade before you actually use it. It's pretty wild with no sound, and then when you turn it on, it'll do what it's supposed to do. But there's a menu in here that does everything, volume and all kinds of clash color, blast color. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Jake says DIY Eno Infinity still in development. Gave you 3 guesses. Who wrote 90% of the software? Is it Jakesoft, or Jakesoft?
Probably Jigsaw.
Melissa, I have a Facebook. It is Anthony Lagaipa, Lagaipa. If there's 2 of them, just become friends with both, because I may have made a mistake at like one point and made 2, and I don't know. I only use one of them, but if you just friend them both, it'll be me. I'm one of those 2.
Green fire blade.
So that's a preview because I don't hear anything, right?
Correct. And then you hit and hold the button, and then it just goes out, and then you ignite it.
Oh, that's sick. So is it green on top and blue at the bottom?
Yeah, it is.
How does that look to you in real life? On video, it looks awesome.
What's weird is it's just as bright as my other sabers, and this is before kind of we all knew we needed 10 amp high drain batteries. So
Yeah.
this has a standard battery in it. It's really weird. Yeah, I don't understand that either. But this saber does have a little weird quirk where it won't run the NeoPixel blade when I charge it up all the way. I have to drain the battery down like 10% with the other blades, and then it'll run the NeoPixel blade. It's very
That's
strange.
funny. My remember we were talking about the FOC before on the string blade stuff?
Yeah.
On the CFLS. My main personal saber, like those numbers really matter. Like I was telling you about that FOCD or the blade output number. And when my saber is fully charged, I guess I have it so at the limit, my numbers, that when I do FOC, when the blade's fully charged, it's like
Reboot.
1 out of 100, it turns off.
Okay.
But then, like, if I let the saber run for like 60 seconds, it will no longer turn off on FOC. But if I lowered that number FOCD a little bit, it would never turn off. But it's like it tries to surge a bunch of juice to it right at the beginning, and it's like, nope, like we're going off.
I'm out.
But
I think that's what this is doing, something like that.
Yeah,
The
it's like
board doesn't like
they
it
are-
when it's fully
yeah, like, they're-
charged.
the string blades and the NeoPixel, they're both similar and different.
Mhm.
You know, they have similarities and they have big differences too.
So here's the master replicas strip.
Oh, it runs the same. It runs a different strip with the same config.
That's what's weird. So right now the hilt's currently programmed for NeoPixel, but what it'll do is it'll light up a tri-cree or a segmented blade, but it won't do the segmented, retraction and extension.
Right.
It'll just turn on because it's just bam. Yeah, watch. So see.
That's nice.
So it's on off. It doesn't. There's no animation on
now.
On this
do you feel like?
Segmented.
I feel like that's brighter than like as if it was in a master replicas. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
the board
incredible,
definitely
man.
is pushing it harder. And then it's in a photon. But the
I was in the bathroom I was in the refresher for a moment.
But yeah, it doesn't do the animations. But it's pretty cool that like when it's programmed for NeoPixel, it will run all 3 blade types, just no animations on the segmented.
Are you friends with JB Kuma?
I
think you guys would be good friends. Like your projects are similar.
I keep track of the stuff he's doing, but no, I've always wanted to meet him because yeah, he is a mad scientist for sure.
Maybe we'll get him on one of these and you guys can talk more because I think you might hit it off.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I can tell his brain works in very cool, mysterious ways. I like it. I love that he's like hooking you up with some SpaceWindu Industries stuff.
Oh, he's amazing.
Working on that together.
That's imagine something cool. Like you never even ask for. Like he asked me, he goes, should I, do you want some SpaceWindu products? I was like, what do you mean? Isn't that amazing?
A Saber friend. It's kind of like me getting a CFLS from SpaceWindu. I mean, that's just now that's amazing.
I hope you enjoy it. I hope you
oh my God,
have a good time with that. I think after seeing the Saber that you have right there, because like I sometimes make the mistake of thinking everyone's like me, and you'll probably treat it like a DIY that I got and I put in the drawer and I haven't had time. But after looking at the stuff that you've created, and that Saber right there runs 3 different blades and like all that stuff, it still works. You haven't charged the battery in 5 years. You're different from me. You're not going to do that. You're not going to put it in the drawer and leave it there and stuff like that. So
no.
that'll be cool.
No, that's going to go in the historical lineup because I've always wanted one. So you freaking hook me up. You can't even touch those things, those LSs anymore. They're like scarce.
Like I said, I would buy entire Sabers just that they had a CFLS. That was what it was like. I was like, I just want, because like I would maybe buy a Saber and the person's like, oh, do you want me to do this too? I'm like, listen, I don't care about the Saber at all. Or like,
can you just take the sound card out for me?
Like, oh, do you want like the red kill key? And I'm like, listen, I don't. That's not why I'm buying it.
That's hilarious.
Or like, who used to hook me up a lot of times with stuff like that is Scott Juarez, Scott Jua.
Yeah,
on the forums, and he would say, listen, I got a bunch of Makoto stuff, and I'm like, what do you got? I got a hilt, or I got a couple blades, and I don't know if they're broken, or I don't know if or they work or whatever. Oof. Or I got some. I remember one time he had some like master replica stuff. He's like, I got some master replica blades I can't really do anything with. And I was like, listen, I want the foam out of those. Yeah. He's like, what? I was like, I want the foam out of those. I don't care. I want the foam. He's like, I got a bunch. He's like, I'll just send you all the stuff I got. I was like, okay, what do you got? He's like, I got a bunch of I was like, okay. So we just worked out a price. It was like great grab bag for me, because he's like, here, I'll just charge you like whatever it is, $200. He's like, I'm just going to send you like a bunch of stuff. So I got a box that I was in my joy for like a year. I had like foams from Master Replicas that I used for years. Okay, so Melissa, my name isn't spelled quite right there. It's Lagaipa. And Mundo could probably hopefully help you find it because I'm friends with Mundo on Facebook. I was just on, I'm not on Facebook that much, but I went on Facebook today. Like usually when Mundo sends something, I will go look at what it is. Yeah, but there's a ton of Anthony's on there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll be right back, Space. I don't know if you want to share your drawing screen.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot that it was not on there. Oh no, I'm erasing. Didn't mean to do that. Maybe gotta switch to the inking pen now. We need to fix some of this stuff. Oh, but you know what? That wasn't on the right level. Back up, back up, back up. Need to go to inking level. Yeah, I was watching this, or I wasn't watching. I was listening to the Star Wars radio drama I was talking about before. You know, one thing that Princess Leia said to Tarkin when he blows up the Death Star, oh my God, she's saying a bunch of other stuff. Like, it's aside from what she says in the movie. She said some heartfelt stuff. Like, she's upset, obviously. And one of the things she says to Tarkin after he blows up the Death Star, she says, you are now an enemy of all life. She goes, your empire is finished. You're an enemy of all life now. And I was like, ooh, I got the chills almost, like Princess Leia. Holy. She's right. She's right. What a jackass Tarkin was right then. She said, you're an enemy of all life forms. I was like, oh, that's awful.
This is the radio rendition?
Yeah. Like there's a bunch of extra stuff. Like you will see all the times that you don't see in the movies. So it's like you'll hear extra lines that Luke says to Obi-Wan in his hut. You'll be in the car with them while they're traveling to Mos Eisley. You will be in the spaceship with Princess Leia when she's being transported as a prisoner toward the Death Star, and Darth Vader or something is like, Princess Leia, you will not understand what you're about to see. She's like, what's that? And he's like, look out the viewport. And she's like, what the fuck? He's like, that's the Death Star and shit. He's like, you want to tell me about where your pals are hanging out? That before we have to use this thing? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you shit. And then when I'm just paraphrasing you guys. And
the not child-friendly radio version.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then they get to the Death Star, and he's in the torture chamber with her. And now in the movie, they just close the door. You see that needle coming toward her, and they close the door. In the radio drama, she's screaming, she's like, ah! And then he's like, I'm gonna literally, this thing is gonna get you. And she's like, no, you can't do that. That's just against the law. And he's like, the law doesn't apply to you anymore, you rebel scum. And she's like, what? She's like, this is against the government, laws, whatever. He's like, government laws don't apply to you. He's like, we're, no one's going to find you anymore. You're finished. And she's like, oh my God. And he's like, this needle's going to put inside you, something's going to cause you immeasurable pain. They just explain everything. Nothing's left to the imagination with the radio drama.
Check that out. Yeah.
And then I was telling you that session of when they were in the Millennium Falcon training with their lightsabers, and Ben Kenobi was firing on his lightsaber and telling Luke, listen, this is how you do the first block. This is how you do the second block. And then the sound effects are going, whoa, whoa, and then Luke turns on his saber and he's like this. And Obi-Wan's like, no, not like that, like this. And so you're getting just a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And then, they get to the point where they're doing the blaster blocking with all the stuff. But I mean, you're getting stuff from the Millennium Falcon. You're getting a lot of extra stuff. And yeah, a lot of extra lines that like weren't in the movie, but I think were controlled by Lucas. You know, I think it's all legit stuff that
Yeah.
was like in the original script or something. I'm not sure.
Screenplay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fire that up tomorrow when I'm on the mill. That would be awesome because I'd always have stuff playing loud in the background. That'd be cool.
So I want to get to like, you know, when you're watching one YouTube video, they'll say suggested or whatever, and you'll see more. And there's, you know, Empire Strikes Back, and there's they got all that stuff. They got Return of the Jedi, and I think, you know, a lot of the actors took part in it. At least Mark Hamill did. It's pretty crazy.
Really, the voiceovers?
Yeah, like he's Luke,
Oh,
and
damn.
it's incredible.
No
And
shit.
like Leia sounds like Leia. I can't tell, honestly, can't tell. But everyone else doesn't seem like themselves. But it's good enough, you know. Like Darth Vader's voice doesn't have all the electronic like reverberation on it, but it's just someone going like Princess Leia, whatever, you know. But it's like it's all fine. But to hear Obi-Wan sounds very good. It's almost as good as Alec Guinness. Tarkin's good. Han is pretty good. Chewie sounds exactly the same as he does in the movie. Yeah, it's like, you know, half the population can do a Chewie.
That's funny. You just gotta gargle. So here I dropped it. This is how I store it. Is with the Tri-Cree in here. The Tri-Cree blade plug is what it looks like. So there.
So that's like an insert, or you're showing me like it's a blade plug with a Tri-Cree underneath it.
Correct. It's actually an RGBW Tri-Cree. It's one of those quad LEDs. Here, I'll pull it out. You can check it out.
I love those. I wanted one of those in my Vader's vault.
Yeah, it's a cool little LED. The RGBW. A Cree.
I wanted to do like BW in my saber or GW and mix them for Viridian as the main blade and have the other two come in as a white flash. That was my idea.
There you go.
But I kind of never, I guess like the Vader's Vault custom stuff kind of.
So here's the front of it.
Nice.
And then, so it's a blade plug that I made. Whoa. And then this is the Ethernet. And then you unscrew it, and then it screws into a
like
blade.
The MHS. Oh.
No, this is just it's actually
I thought you were going to say it was going to come out of it was going to go into a copper heatsink, but no, this is like the whole assembly came out.
The whole assembly. So this whole assembly module right here is RGBW that's directly wired, and all this is epoxied inside a brass housing. So this is like bulletproof. And then there's the RGBW Cree in there. That's all like 30 gauge wired up, and then you take this and you can screw it into a longer blade, any size blade I make, with the female threaded part. But this, I just made it for the blade plug as well. So it screws into here. It's all modular. Ready to go.
That's sick.
Thanks, man. Yeah, this was kind of the first, I think I told you, this was kind of the first saber I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something super freaky.
Yeah, Melissa, you know what I'll do? I'll make you a moderator so you can put a link in the chat. I'll do that after the stream. Make you a moderator like Mundo. Mundo can put a link in.
There you go.
Oh, have a good night, Jake Soft.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out, Jake.
Yeah, thanks for being here with us. That was a lot of fun. We'll keep going, and the replay will still be up on YouTube because I'm not going to play any Clone Wars clips tonight to get us ripped off YouTube.
I don't know. We said George Lucas's name one too many times.
Yeah, we might get ripped off. Like my video got canceled by Disney the other day from doing too many curse words or something.
Mickey's got to pay to have his ears trimmed, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I might have two Facebooks, Melissa, because I tried to make a SpaceWindu one once, and I'm not sure if like there's two Anthony Legapas on there, and one of them looks like a lightsaber page, and I don't even know how to get to that one, and then the other one is like, I guess my personal one, which is the one that's Mundo knows about, because that's the one that I sometimes comment on. So Mundo should be able to. Maybe Mundo can put a link. I think Mundo is set up to be able to put links in the chat, so maybe he can put a link for you.
I think I did that on Instagram, actually, Space, because you told me there was another Jedi arms dealer. It might be me, because I opened one eons ago and I can't get back into it. I was like, okay. That might be me. I don't know.
I hope it's you. Yeah, I didn't know.
While. Yeah, so far so good. Knock on wood, right, on the whole Jedi arms dealer name. I bought the website, so it's not like anyone can like jump on it.
Well, you know what I kind of figured the other day was bad about it? Not in anyone's sense that like a human being, but the fucking computer at YouTube, maybe. Because you know what they don't like? You know, like Bombarda? Like when he writes his name? Like one time I put his name on the video because he was my guest. And they buried the fucking video. Like they didn't want anyone to see something with bomb in the title.
Oh, what?
You know what I'm saying?
Because it was spelled B-O-M-B? Wow.
Because like he also posts a lot of times. He goes like, see you later, bomb. Like he shortens his name. And sometimes he does that on YouTube. And I know that's a bad thing because YouTube doesn't like that shit. They don't want you to talk about guns. They don't want you to talk about like if you have a gun channel, you're buried. Like so like just the fact that it says arms dealer, that's the one thing that I think that they may not like at a certain point in time. Like maybe not right now.
Wow.
But like, you know, when they keep like every night they update that whole list, you know, like their whole thing, like their whole algorithm is like updated. And it's like they want to like kind of shadow people that are like talking about Jesus, people that are talking about guns, people that are like just all like it's weird, the stuff that they don't want you to talk about. So hopefully the fact that you don't have any spaces in your name,
right,
make it okay. That's
I kind of did that on purpose.
Yeah, like that way it doesn't say like arms dealer with a space. That way, like the computer will say black market trader, like buried, you know, or something. Like
send the empire to my house.
Yeah. Like he's supposed to be on the dark web. What's he doing on YouTube? It's like, well, that computer needs to read the first word. Jedi is like not real. Jedi is not in danger of doing anything to anybody.
They don't exist in this galaxy anyways.
The computer's like, arms dealer, what?
That's funny. Yeah, I got a buddy that comes to Comic-Con every year from Denver. Known him forever, and he runs a company called Geek Fuel. It's kind of like Loot Crate.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to feature me on his, you know, they put out like a online publication type of thing, and then we'll feature like different artists and people and stuff like that. And so he was watching my videos and he was like, oh man, I want to put you on my show so bad, but I do stuff with Disney. And he's like, I don't know how they're going to feel about your name. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, you know, there's those little details that you don't think of when you're coming up with like a cool name, and no one can see the, like, you know, the future with where things are going. And, you know, people just get crazy these days. It's like, and those crazy people program the computer to be crazy. You're like, search for this. It's like, search for racist people or whatever. It's like, oh my God, this computer program is not going to be able to uncover racist people. Or, right. You know, not very efficiently, or it's going to make a ton of mistakes. And it's just, it's complicated. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
Because they don't know the difference between certain things.
What's weird about the whole Jedi name is I've been in Barnes and Noble, and there's several books on the bookshelf that like the Order of the Jedi or the Jedi Way, and they're all very like Hindu type teachings books.
Really?
And I've read it, like I've read all the the stuff at the beginning and the end of the publication company. Nothing in there about Lucas. Yeah, so I don't know what the deal is with the word Jedi, but apparently they were able to publish those books with it. So I thought that was very interesting.
That's weird.
Without any reference to LucasArts. Very weird. You want to pop your drawing back up there?
Oh, I forgot. I didn't realize. I was thinking that people were looking at me draw.
Or I'm going to start singing Star Wars songs.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it. That way's better.
Oh, there it is. Dang, dude. I just can't believe the tiny details you got going on. Even aged, cracked teeth.
I figure this guy's ancient. Like, not only like we talked about before that maybe he's from like a long ago time, but I kind of figured this guy was maybe something like Yoda or Chewbacca that would like maybe something in between. Like maybe this guy can live like 600 years, or maybe he's like 590, right? You know, maybe he's real old. He's like the guardian of the crystal cave, and these jerks are coming in to, his last stand, as you say. His last stand's going to be tonight.
How long do Wookiees live?
Like 300 or so, 350.
Wow.
I think Chewbacca was 180 or something like that when we meet him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tarfor's the one with gray hair. All right.
Yeah. That didn't quite make too much sense to me, though. The fact that, that was a little bit of too much of an insertion, if you ask me. That hurt the canon to put those scenes with Chewie and Tarfor with Yoda. Because maybe if they had them like separated, it would have been more believable. But Han understands Wookiee language, and Han says, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other, and I've never seen anything that would make me believe that the Force exists, right? Well, right at that moment, if they were made in sequence, Chewie would have said, roar, like he would have roared.
Yeah.
And said, oh, no. Don't speak out of turn. That shit's real. I was next to Yoda. It's bugged out. And then Han would be like, what? But it's just, it kind of hurt things to say like, oh, Yoda's there hanging out with Chewie. It's like, come on, didn't you do enough already? You had Anakin build 3PO. You had R2 meet 3PO. You had all this shit happen already, and now you still want to push the boundaries. Oh, well, Chewie was with Yoda. It's like, oh my God. Like they're really pushing the boundaries of my patience, you're really, this is a little too much for the audience now, a little too much pandering. It's like, come on now, Chewie's hanging out with Yoda. Oh my God. Okay. Like I'm only doing this because I love you. That's my feeling. You know what I mean? It's like only because I love you am I dealing with this.
Don't be such a plot hole, George.
It's one thing to show the Wookiee world, which is fine. I get it. Like, okay, you couldn't show it in Return of the Jedi, so everyone had to be a little teddy bear, and they had to make Ewoks instead because they didn't want to they didn't have the budget to do the Wookiees. Okay, I get it, but you don't really have to push the limits like that. That's just a little too far.
I never thought about that till you brought it up, though. That's funny. I never thought about that Chewie just kept his mouth shut the whole time about the Force. That is crazy.
He's letting Han run his mouth and act a fool. It's like he's 180 years old. He's like this 30-year-old asshole.
Yeah.
He's like, he
What?
thinks I listen to him.
He's just shaking his head inside, not saying a word. Like, God, cocky fucker.
He thinks he knows everything. He's only 27.
How did I pledge my life to this guy? Scoundrel.
The biggest con artist in Mos Eisley.
Right. That's funny. Yeah. Chewie's like, you should see Yoda cut off 2 troopers' heads at the same time.
Yeah, as he
dumbass.
flips backwards.
Right. No, force my ass.
It was very contrived too, how like Yoda even ends up there. They're like, oh, we need someone to go to the Wookiee home planet. He's like, I'll go.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Come on. You're like the freaking general. You don't send
General
George
Yoda.
Washington out to do everything. He's got to give people orders.
Send the president in there. That's funny. Yeah, my buddy Tim out in Florida is my DJ partner, best friend, longtime best friend. We went and saw Revenge of the Sith, and he said he felt that it was kind of rushed there towards the end, like they were just jumping from like scene to scene. And I have to kind of agree, like when they cut to Vader and no, and then bam to Padme and
now, was he there as like a movie fan or a Star Wars
yeah.
fan or what?
He's hardcore like us.
Okay,
like,
wow.
yeah.
So it was strong of him to be like unbiased like that, to actually point out the insufficiencies, I guess.
Yeah, he didn't love it. I liked it more than he did. Just I think because episode 1 and 2, I was just like, oh my gosh, some of these scenes are painful. And then we got to Revenge of the Sith, and I was just like, okay, George got a little bit of it back,
Yeah.
I was just so happy that it wasn't a total uncomfortable train ride.
Well, to me, it was all apparent in the he had behind the scenes videos that, like, in those days of the internet, it kind of was difficult to watch. I would go to work, and we had a better connection at work, and I would watch these like 30-minute videos that eventually made their way, I think, onto the DVD. If you bought the DVDs, you'll see the making of the different movies, and they're incredible. So you got a lot of hints from it. Like when episode 2 was coming out, 6 months before it came out, they showed you a makeup video of Obi-Wan, of Ewan McGregor sitting in the makeup chair. And that alone was a lot of clues, because you got to see that they were putting gray hairs on him, what time frame it was. You got to see the choosing of the actor Hayden Christensen to be a 16-year-old or whatever he was supposed to be, Anakin Skywalker. You got to see a lot of these screen tests for the different actors. You got to see a lot of the pre-visualization special effects shots by watching these video. I don't think it was YouTube at the time. It was like you downloaded it from StarWars.com, or you looked at like the Force.net, I think it was StarWars.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the clues when I was watching that about a lot of the plot that was going on. And if you were really like searching the internet, you can kind of get a lot of information back then. It was actually tighter for like the Force Awakens than it was. They were a bit looser, even though it was this kind of a secretive type project. As a fan, you could get your information. Plus, the books would come out for the movie a couple weeks before the movie. This was back in the day. The book would come out like for Attack of the Clones would come out 2 weeks before Attack of the Clones, and the book for Revenge of the Sith came out 2 weeks before the movie. So did the soundtrack. So like for, the famous thing for the Phantom Menace was that you saw that Qui-Gon was going to die if you bought the soundtrack, because there was a track that said Qui-Gon's Noble End, and it was a funeral song, and you're like, motherfucker. And like I got the thing like 19 days before the movie came out, like the day 1, I got the soundtrack. And I love, the soundtrack is like my biggest thing with Star Wars. I think I love it the most. Even
Agreed.
Even though I don't like the new movies, I love the soundtracks. To even the new movies, I listen to those. But you could get a lot of information from the soundtrack, from the books. Obviously, it had contained more than the movie would contain. So you would be like reading the book, being like, "Oh my god, if the movie's like this gonna be crazy." Like the Revenge of the Sith book is actually fantastic. If you're not, if you only read one, read that one. It's really, really good. There's they go deep into the Force and the Mace Windu and Anakin struggles, and very deep into like that fight at the end, and it's very, very detailed, and it's a lot of stuff that you just can't get in a movie because it's like the character's internal struggles. So it's just impossible to get, unless like you're trying to read the actor's face, but
wow,
it's wild. It's crazy.
That's my retirement plan, is to build a full-size R2 and then read all the books when
wow,
in my Jedi robe when I can barely move around.
There you go. I think by the time I'm that old, I'm going to be thinking that I was Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? I'll be a little deranged and I'll be like like not what's the word? It starts with a D. Dementia. I'll have like dementia, and I'll think that I'm Luke, and maybe I'm lying there, in hospice, saying, Ben, or something.
Yeah. Do not mourn those who transform into the Force. To the hospice nurse. She'll be like, "Excuse me?"
I'll be like, I'll make her lean over. I'll make the nurse lean over, and I'll say, "There is another Skywalker," and I'll just die. She'll be like, "These people are insane that were born back then."
Yeah. You're a full Jedi now. That would be funny. Trip everybody out at the old folks' home.
All right, so let's get at least like the shell of your Lumos out that I can take a close look at it.
Yeah, man. Do you want just the raw shell, or you want me to put the chassis?
Well, because you said it was kind
of
a part, right? So maybe I take a look at, well, maybe both. Maybe hold up the inside first. I'm not sure what I should draw first.
Well, that's without the chassis in there. We probably should. Just if you wanted to see the control box, I noticed you got that on the screen now. There you go. It's just got some copper nubblies that kind of go through and up inside.
So that's aluminum, but copper inside?
Correct. It's actually oh heck, it's a 3D printed part that I modified for a 3D printer. It's a heatsink.
Oh, cool.
And then I bought some copper pins that just have like domed heads on them and super glued them up in there. And then this is held on with that stupid strong double-sided tape. I still got to get you the link for that.
Now, I think I know the answer to this, but the blade color that you prefer for this image is green?
Yeah.
Or are you thinking it's like, the hilt is glowing bluish and the blade's green, or like, how do you see that?
Yeah, I think that's
not too late.
No, I think that sounds great, actually. Maybe even give like the blade kind of like is more like a, not such a solid look, but like an energy type of variation. Kind of like when I showed you the Aurora Borealis, where it's got
oh my god, yeah. That's what I was thinking, kind of.
Yeah, almost like there's waves of green energy coming out of it.
All right, hold the emitter part up again near that. Oh, okay. It's shallow. I have it like more of a conical thing. So the blade comes right out of the end of there, right?
Yeah. Here, let me grab a blade.
Right. Okay. And then the back end. Let me see the back end again. See the angle.
Oh, I don't have the. Well, here, let me put the decorative. What do I do with that one?
Like, is there like a crystal end?
Yeah, let me go get it. Whoops. I guess I got to put my headphones back on. All right, I'm back.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's see how I have that. I think I might have too much of a point. Yeah, too much of a point there. Let's fix that.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
because of
let's see the thing overall. Like, try to get the entire thing on screen so I can get the
Okay.
scale right. Like the thickness compared to the length. Okay. Okay. Maybe we'll come out a little bit on the back end here.
Now, I don't know if you want to incorporate this part of it in their space, but I mean, this is the blade plug, and this is where it looks like, an actual crystal. When it's all
That
together.
is so sick.
So this had to be super pointy and long because of the angle at which it has to come down and meet the blade. So
Right.
that's why I started with the back, and then when I got to the front, I was like, oh, that's not going to work, that angle. So it ended up like kind of a weird thing. So I don't know if like you want to mimic this and then have energy coming out of, make this part actually visible, and then there's energy coming out of it, or do you want to just like lop it off like that with the energy coming out? But this would be the saber like in its raw form, and then I just kind of envision the energy would sort of come out of this tip, the plasma.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah,
that might be cool.
where you
That
can
might be
actually
cool
see
to-
this part, and then
Yeah.
the energy comes out from it. Yeah, I'm thinking so too. What's really wild about filling this end and this end up with epoxy inside these little acrylic panels is if I take it outside.
That's what you had to do? You filled up the tip there with epoxy?
Yeah, it is solid with epoxy. So basically what I do is cut these triangles out on the laser cutter, okay? As
Oh.
individual separate triangles. Then I take clear Scotch tape and I lay it flat. And I take Scotch tape and put it on the outside and then roll it into the form I want and put the last piece of Scotch tape on that makes it a cone. Then I flip it upright, and then it's
like a little cup.
Correct. It's fluid sealed this direction. And then I actually take the epoxy, mix it up, and then put it in the cup. And the tape actually is like, epoxy waterproof. And so this is solid. Let's see if I can get there.
That's
so
such a
what's
cool
weird
aspect of it. Wow, that's
what's
beautiful
weird,
down there, man.
What's weird about
That's
it is
perfect.
when I take it outside and in the sun, this thing
Prismatic?
goes crazy. Yeah, rainbows everywhere. It's so weird.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a beautiful object. Now,
I didn't know.
how many of those grips do you got on there?
Well, let's see. That'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Well, because they're two per
There's
point.
like two close together, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you want to just say it's 6, it's like a crystal 6-pointed. So I don't know if you want to make it look like technically 6 grips. But yeah, that freaked me out. I took it outside to photograph it on some rocks in the neighborhood, and I set it down on the rocks, and I was like, "Look at that thing!" Oh, there you go. Oh, wait, I can kind of catch one. Where'd it go?
Like, if you have that other Graflex near you that you can shine that special flashlight into it or something, that'd probably make it look great.
I actually have.
Or your phone.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Prismatic effects.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, Space. Let's just fire this up. Nightfall. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Oh, it's beautiful, yeah.
I have to get it at the right angle, but you can make rainbows.
A giant crystal.
There you go. There's one.
Oh, yeah.
But
See a
outdoors,
little prism effect in there.
yeah, outdoors it just goes nuts. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I could imagine.
The sun does such a better job of that. Let's see about the backside.
Yeah, you really sunk a lot of time into that.
This was insanity.
Because I know you showed me the photos of the ones that didn't work, like the parts that didn't come out the way you wanted, and
yeah, my mistakes until I figured out how to do it. I actually had to stand this part up in the bathtub in a glass vase and drip the epoxy down into the top of it and let it sit in there and cure for like 3 days.
But you dripped it in all at once and then left it for 3 days?
No, I could only mix it up in batches. It took 3 batches to fill it all the way up.
That's agonizing, because I would be lying there at night imagining that it's going wrong or it's bubbling.
Yep. Well, it did bubble on the first pour. They're just super, super fine bubbles, which I think actually makes it look kind of cool. Like it's hot at that end.
Uh-huh.
Where the blade comes out, there's bubbles like at that end. Tiny, tiny ones. But yeah, I used to lay awake at night and I was like, how the hell am I going to do that? But I didn't want to pour it all at once because I'm trying to remember. I didn't want to pour it all at once because it gets really hot, the epoxy. And so this was starting to expand.
What do you mean it gets really hot?
The epoxy process, when it's curing, it actually gets really warm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that crafter's epoxy, that clear stuff that, like when you go to a restaurant, they have those
tables.
It's
a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
They have
those tables
right?
that have like shells underneath, like 2 inches of clear epoxy, like a seafood restaurant.
Oh.
It's that stuff that they pour on those tables.
Well, you're going to some fancy restaurants.
You want me to keep holding it up for reference?
I'm looking at it, but you don't have to keep holding up for too much longer. Let me just study it for another minute here.
Yeah, cool.
Like, how many facets would you say? There's like 12 facets.
Well, it's standard
bit,
quartz crystal, so there's 6 sides. You count these. It's
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the same with the ends. It's 6-sided.
Okay, that's simple. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't go too crazy elaborate because it's hard to do that on the cutter and do all the math. Yeah, this actually took some science, some weird math I had to do to with measurements to get all this stuff to line up. Just some geometry stuff I hadn't pulled out of my brain in ages.
Oh, thanks, Melissa. I'll check that out. Sent a friend request. Yeah, this is a good point, Melissa. On that saber, it's hard to tell the emitter from the pommel. That's originally what I was thinking about when I was drawing it, that did I want to have the end be like the crystal end emitting the blade, or the open way. And originally I had it the open way, but now that we're talking, I think it's cooler to have it crystal way, for this drawing, because it's a fantasy. It's like a fantastical sci-fi thing, so it's like, especially because this guy is like let's go with our story that this guy's 600 years old, right?
Yeah.
And he's been protecting this cave. Maybe there was like more of him, back in the day. Mm-hmm. Like his family might have done it, and maybe he's the only one left. And I think that the fact that he's so old makes the saber operation, maybe it's different from like the current sabers,
Right.
This is like an ancient thing. So first of all, he's bigger than everybody, so he had to build this like slightly bigger lightsaber. And it's made of pure crystal, so it's probably got like more energy than other lightsabers, other people's lightsabers, I would think.
Yeah, the fact that it's like a kyber crystal, like holy. Let me see if I can get to the green.
Oh, Melissa says it gives her futuristic saber vibes. I could see that too.
There we go. Let's see if I can get this to boot in silent mode. Oh, there we go. Did it. Put the chassis in. All right. Where's my Allen key? Well, there you go. That's the blade plug space lit up.
Oh, that's so sick, dude. What's the blade plug? Like NeoPixel little strips in there or something?
Yeah, it's just 8 pixels of a 50-50 wrapped in a loop
Awesome.
inside of there.
Is it on mute?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Look at this thing. Oh my God.
Actually, I can put the pommel back on now because it's in mute. Don't need no sound. We're just drawing stuff. Love it.
Absolutely gorgeous.
That drawing is going to be so sick.
Melissa asks, is the saber made out of a kyber crystal?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, but my brain tried to take it like a step further, and I was like, maybe Ilum, like the air is slightly corrosive, like kind of a little bit toxic, and so he's one of the only type of creatures that can live there for an extended period of time.
Oh, good idea, yeah.
But the problem is that the atmosphere on Ilum corrodes electronics and metals and things like that, and so he figured out the best way for him to construct his lightsaber and keep the electronics and everything working well was to encase it in an actual crystal. That way it's airtight from the elements.
The elements.
Nice.
So you got any plans for this weekend? Or are you still in a quarantine situation for the weekend?
I'm just going as fast as I can because I'm taking my time, but I'm going to be working on that saber.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm working on yours and then Jeff's.
Awesome.
I did I couldn't figure out how to cut stainless steel on that mini mill. Oh my God, stainless steel is a pain in the ass. And so I finally got the right bits. It took a while to research it and got to get the right lubricant and all this stuff. And I needed to shave the inside off of a pommel piece that was made out of stainless steel. It's a Corbanth LS6, which is actually a really cool saber if you do some modifications to it and tighten up kind of the Chinese manufacturing on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in and you tweak it, it's a very cool saber. It's heavy. It's got the little Jeff and I joke around with the Bombay doors that open up on the bottom to kind of reveal the inside. They don't close all the way.
I heard that. I don't know if you told me that or someone else did. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, that's annoying. Like right out of the box, you put any type of light in there and it's shining this big crack. I mean, like a good 1/16 of an inch crack.
Yeah, maybe you were telling me that. Yeah.
So that, so I had to take the whole saber apart and get in there and, grind with a diamond grinder because it's all those diamond bits for the Dremels, and get in there and grind those surfaces to get those doors to close all the way.
Whoa. So all that stainless steel?
Yeah.
Those doors and all? Oh my God.
No. The doors are stainless steel. The body is. The pommel reveal part is, but the pommel cap with the holes is aluminum. So the neck is aluminum, and but the main body, yeah, the only thing that's aluminum is the speaker pommel cap and the neck. The rest of it's all stainless steel, so it's a bitch to modify. But it's been cool because I've been learning different things on your build that have helped me out immensely in Jeff's build and vice versa. So I've been going back and forth and like using
That's really
the best.
cool when that happens.
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of floating between the two, and I'm like, wow, okay, I'm glad it happened this way. The false.
That's what I think a lot of people don't understand, and but it really helps me out on their build is that, yeah, like it takes a long time, and I take a long time, but I learn on the previous one, and I'm always learning like new tricks which help me on the next one, which always ends up working out great.
And what's interesting is when I started Jeff's build, Profi was still kind of, in its infancy in a way. Like there wasn't color change. The code blade styles, like Fernando was telling us, were really big, and so I could only get some really nice blade styles on there. It would only fit like 8 or 9 space. Which
you mean so like that's so you, but you could duplicate them, and just have like you could have many fonts, but
correct,
just fewer blade styles. Okay.
Yeah, I've kind of maxed it out with on my test saber. I got 80 fonts on the test saber, but they're all super simple, repetitive blade codes.
Right. And then once you switch over to all his new stuff, like I know you said you weren't on the new stuff yet, but he said it's all smaller file size wise. So if you like convert, you'll be better off.
Yeah, so that's why I told Jeff, I was like, well, this is actually kind of a good thing because as the Profi progresses, you're gonna get a much better saber than when we started this build, 8-9 months ago, whatever. So
I was working a little on Jeff's build that I have over here. I'm doing a Darth Vader, and I decided I originally was asking you about chassis work and stuff like that, but then you're so busy. I already have you doing so much for me already. I was like, you know what? Let me like I kind of think probably one of the reasons why Jeff asked me to do that Darth Vader, maybe he saw that this other Darth Vader I did where I made this like chassis myself. And so I was like, you know what? I have the parts. Let me just do that, like something like that again. So I started doing that where it's like I take like some blade bits of like enhanced red and enhanced amber and enhanced blue and stuff, and I make like a little lighted chassis out of those parts. And I think turned out pretty cool last time. And also, these boards got so small that before I had to like construct the chamber in such a way, most of it housed the Crystal Focus LS, but now the board is half the size of that. So I think it'll come out a little better than even that one did. You
got a video on that?
Yeah, that one.
I got one. I want to see that. Is it like way back or?
Yeah, it might be like if you look up. Yeah, it's kind of back. It's kind of back. There might be like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Look up like Darth Vader CFLS SpaceWindu or something.
I've seen most of your videos, but yeah, I want to check that out. I love scratch built stuff.
Yeah, I think there might have only been one CFLS Darth Vader I did. So if you found that video, that would be it.
Cool.
I think that blade was ridiculous too. That blade was ridiculous. You know how sometimes I would buy like this is why sometimes the string blades wouldn't really suit like my scoring system. I would be like, oh, like this doesn't make the cut, I couldn't really tell till I was all done. And a lot of times it was due to like I was always experimenting with different LEDs. So I was like, okay, this is the best blue that I found so far, but what about that blue? I haven't tried that one yet, and the specs look like that could be better. So I would like try different blues, and sometimes someone would order like a blue blade, and I would build 2 blue blades side by side, but with different LEDs, and they would get the best one, the better of the two. So I found this one red LED. I guess it was the LED. Honest to God, there was so many red LEDs that I tried. And for that particular one, I think it was that particular Darth Vader saber, I had a light meter and I tested it. I think it was that one. It was like the biggest number I've ever seen. I don't understand because red's usually like low as shit. The shit was like 10,000. I was like, and it was and when I turned on, if I'm right about it being that one, there was a couple bright red sabers I had. There was the evil Graflex, which had a crazy bright blade, but I don't think it was that one. I think it was this Darth Vader CFLS build, but I also had a Devastator Hyperblade that I didn't have a light meter at that time, but I think that was the brightest saber I've ever seen. Like that will light up the whole street
in red.
And I recently realized like why is because the Hyperblade is the 12 volt like car LEDs, 12 volt battery. The whole Hyperblade system was like 11 volts.
Really?
So I'm thinking like, were those like car LEDs, like brake lights? You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but it was so bright. But anyway, I think it might have been that LS Darth Vader where I put it in my light meter. It was like 12,000. I was like, what? And people, when they saw that, they were freaking out because like my whole garage lit up red when I turned that on. I couldn't even believe it. And red is not normally a bright color for that stuff.
Yeah. 5mm?
Yeah.
Whoa. That is weird for red.
And it was one of these situations where I had multiple LEDs and I would mark the bag. Like I'd buy 100 or so and I would build a blade and I'd build it side by side with another bag of 100 different red LEDs. When I was done though, I got the blades confused and I didn't know which LED was this, because the other one wasn't like that. I was like, I built two. One of them was normal brightness, like great. But like this other one was like, what the fuck? and like I forgot which one like was which, and I didn't, but I didn't like replicate it again.
Oh. So you didn't know which?
I didn't know which particular.
LEDs you bought.
Yeah,
wow.
Like one with the because I would also go through a lot of trouble, and sometimes I would forget like what steps I took. For instance, they sold purple LEDs, but the lens was like an 18-degree lens, which sucks for building string blades. Like you want like a wider berth. So I would hand sand the LEDs down to like what looked like the lens of one that I thought like a different color LED that I thought were great. So like maybe there was like a blue LED with like a flat top, like 120-degree head. I was like, let me try to match that with hand sand. Shit would take like a week to sand all the LEDs down by hand.
Oh my God.
I would even try shortcuts. I'm like, let me try the like dremeling the end off and then sanding. So, I try to make it quicker. But so at some points I didn't know. It's like, well, wait, is this the blade that I chopped all the heads off the LEDs? Or is this the one with the 5mm 120? And I would be freaking out over here with all these LEDs. Like people would walk into my house and go like, are you fucking out of your mind? I'd be in here like all weekend, just like mad sciencing it up. And I like those days because those were the days of slower saber time. Like saber time was slower. Like I could come out with something next week and be like, and people would be like, "Oh my God, you came out with something." Whereas now, like everyone's coming out with something daily. So when you come out with something, you're like, "Oh, it's so late for you to come out with that."
Yeah, the days because like NeoPixels and 3D printed chassis, it's like bam, 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 bam. Stuff's just coming out so quick now. Technology makes us lazy. That's funny. Yeah, and they're all hot glued up in there. So you were like, I'm not melting that hot glue to find out which LEDs they were. Screw that.
I only like taking it apart if there was a problem.
Right.
And I had but someone like you or JB Kuma with the 3D printing, you guys were doing that at the same time, but I wasn't, not everybody's at the same level at the same time. And that would have fixed me because all I would have had to do was like make a part. I mean, JB Kuma at the time, I think that's how he started messaging me. He goes, listen, I'll make you a little part at the end so you don't have to do that. And I was like, okay. And he'd make me something that I put on some of the last blades I did, just like you made me a part for Brad's.
Yeah, acrylic,
yeah, just something out of his 3D printer or something. But I wasn't down with that. I didn't have that and stuff like that. So I got around it by using the hot glue end. But yeah, it made it messy when I needed to do something. But it made it possible, you know. There was the better way, which is like with the set screws, but that was such a bitch.
Yeah.
And it's like I could never be assured that I wouldn't ruin it, because there have been times when I build the entire blade, insert 2 set screws, and the bottom of the polycarbonate would crack on near one of the set screws, and I'd freak out. And then other times I would do the set screw deal and end up having to sand for a half a day because now it would scratch up your emitter if you try to put it in there, if you didn't do the set screw deal right. It's just complicated.
I actually got a tip for you on the acrylic or anything, the polycarbonate. Okay, so here's the deal with polycarbonate or acrylic when you're drilling it. There's 2 things you can do for precaution. Maybe you heard of this or not. One thing you can do is if you drill it with a drill press and you use your clamp on your drill press, if you clamp the blade into your clamp on your drill press and then go really slow with your drill press, way less chance of it cracking.
You mean like clamp it down so that there's flex?
We'll just clamp it down so it can't move, because if you try to drill polycarbonate or acrylic with a hand drill, the bit tries to go in too quickly, and that's what cracks it.
I see.
So if you're using the drill press, it's a controlled, slow drilling of it, but the blade can't lift up. So you have to have it
you must learn control.
Yeah. So you have to have it in a clamp. The other thing you can do to add even more layer of security to that is put a piece of masking tape over it while you're drilling it.
Oh, okay.
Those 2 things right there, you'll rarely ever crack it, because I've broken so much stuff, and finally I figured it out. Because I have been doing the recessed connector blades with the set screws. I did it on the Sidious and another one. I have to do it on Jeff's. And so I was like, I got to figure this out instead of cracking brand new blades.
Right. And we got to do a recess thing for Daria, right? Something recessed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to have to be recessed. But I got
just
it, man.
made
it's fully converted to NeoPixel. That made me super happy.
That's incredible. I think that saber is going to blow everyone's mind.
I hope so. But yeah, I've been putting a lot of brain waves into it for sure. A lot of force energy. It's hurt me in the best of ways. It hurts so good. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss that one, because that's the first micro mill job, and it's got all kinds of cool looking little.
Can't believe how neat things are coming out. Like, before you take these pictures, you're like shining it up for me.
Well, what I'll do is I'll machine it and get it in its raw form, like with the chassis or the crystal chamber. And then I've got that 8-inch high-speed polisher. And that thing will take it takes any type of roughed up aluminum and turns it into glass.
Because every picture you send me, I'm like, isn't that a work in progress? But it looks like it's all shiny.
Yeah, I've discovered that you can't really do that with a hilt, where like, let's say you were to design a hilt on a lathe from scratch and then polish the crap out of it and then go back in and make more cuts. You'd have all like with Saberforge, you'd have all these cuts on your hands if you did it that way.
Yeah.
But because it's a chassis and it's a crystal chamber that's going on the inside, I do it the other way, where I'll make it and then I'll polish it right away while the surfaces are all big and smooth. And then I'll go in and use the mill to cut out all the detail and try to be careful not to scratch the polishing job. Because it just comes out way better. Because when you polish it on the polisher, you get all that black stuff from the polish in all the cracks. And I don't care what you scrub it with, it never comes out. So it always looks like I'm trying to go bling bling on this saber for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the polish gets in all the cracks and it looks weathered no matter what you do.
Oh.
So that's why I have to do it kind of opposite when I do a chassis versus doing a hilt. If that makes sense. The thoughts of a mad Jedi. I might just have to frame this Crystal Focus LS until I get around to installing it.
I love the little thing you made me, which is like a little mock LS thing. That's cool.
That was funny. I downloaded the picture off of Irv's site of the CFLS, and he put it in Photoshop and converted it to a black and white bitmap, and then took it downstairs to the laser cutter. And I was like, let's see how this thing looks etched on acrylic.
Well, it's also done in the color of the actual Crystal Focus.
Yeah, I was like, Space is gonna trip on this because this is before we decided to have you send me the CFLS, and I was like, how the hell am I gonna size this thing? So I looked up the dimensions and everything.
Yeah, it's so smart.
Look at that, man! Hell yeah! Yeah, you got mad talent with the drawing thing. I'm actually jealous. That's dope. Wow. Oh, we got to look at that eBay auction. You ready?
Oh, yeah. It's got to be finished by now. Let's see. I think my bet was like 14-3. But I know things can get crazy in the last couple of minutes of an eBay auction.
Oh, look at that. You were actually closer. You get the prize. 13,301.
Now, if it's Price is Right rules, we both lost.
Right? I've dreamed of owning one of those, but it's gotten so rare. I know Scott Joie's got a couple of them, right?
Oh, really? Yeah, he's like the expert at those that I know about.
Yeah, I think he's got a couple of real parts Obies.
But I mean, from him, I learned that those are a nightmare to install. I mean, and not that particular thing, but Obi-Wans in general, I think, are a nightmare. I mean, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I remember he put a CFLS in one, and he was like, "I'm never doing this again" on the video.
Yeah, that might have been one of the videos I'm thinking of.
It made me laugh. I was just like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't think I'll ever be doing this again." Because you got, like you said, 8 wires you got to deal with just to get the blade to light up.
The whole thin neck thing too is a problem.
Ugh. Yeah,
especially for that 8 wire. Like that was one thing that when the Pixel stuff came out and I was told that it's 3 wires. I'm like, 3 wires, like, and I couldn't believe that dream had come true. I literally thought I was going to work until I was old and gray before I thought it was a pipe dream to have each individual LED light up on its own.
Right.
I thought it was the craziest thing you could ever tell a person.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't real. That couldn't happen until, maybe another 40 years. But no, that happened. And it took only 1 wire to make that happen. It's just crazy.
Well, to take it to the next level, Space, if Jake Software was in here, we could kind of ask him about this. You've seen the new, I don't know how new they are. They've been out for a few years, but out of Japan, they're coming out with those high, full HD screens that will roll up in a tube like a poster. You seen those?
Huh. Sort of. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just actually it's an LED. Oh, I think it's OLED. OLED is the organic LEDs is how they made these LEDs to where they can literally roll them up in like a poster, and you can take them to a friend's house and you unroll it and stick it up on his wall, and you got a massive TV in the room. Well,
so what are you thinking for this? Like you're thinking roll it the opposite way, a more a slenderer amount of it rolled up the opposite way where the LEDs are facing out?
Correct. and
Right.
you slide it in a lightsaber tube. And you want to talk about like crystal clear 1080p friggin' animations
What?
in a saber blade. So can that be programmed? I don't know. Like, why not?
Yeah, why not? We'll get Fett on it. Is he still
Right?
awake? We're gonna call Fett. We're gonna wake him up.
Can you program a 1080p lightsaber blade, please?
Like, I told you guys not to call me after 10 again. It's been the 4th time this month.
You crazy Jedi bastards, go to bed.
It's like, isn't my saber stuff realistic enough?
Yeah, I know. What more do you want? They're from screens at Times Square, damn it. Yeah, it's definitely revolutionized the industry, because I have friends that are trying to find installers, and they're just like, no one's taking commissions because everyone's swamped right now.
Oh,
Everyone wants smooth.
It's a lot of
swing
people,
pixels.
huh? Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, I definitely think
because
this
I
has
have to
brought
tell
out a new
people a
wave.
lot. Yeah, like I have to tell people like every day that I can't do it till like May or something. I mean, I'm trying to finish these ones that I have, because some of these people have been waiting an ungodly amount of time. I have like 2 customers been waiting way too long.
Yeah. Yep, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat where I'm
trying
just
to
like,
take care of my people.
Yep.
And then maybe we take on more people later, but I got to definitely take care of these people who've been patiently waiting, like Jeff. That's not fair to Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's been super patient with me. But we right out of the get-go, we're like, we're gonna do a fully removable chassis, full reveal mode with an LS6. It's not easy doing it from scratch. It's not easy at all.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I feel like with like every one of my projects is like a special custom build for the most part. Maybe there's a couple, like I have a couple Qui-Gons that are pretty straightforward and a couple Graflexes. But for the most part, everything's like very, very, it's going to be like one of a kind, it's always kind of one of a kind.
And a lot of times there's like no chassis out there for it. So you got to,
just like whittling something by hand. At least that's what I'm doing over here. You got a couple, computers and machines that could maybe make you a nice fancy piece over on your end, but that doesn't mean less work. That just means different kind of work.
Yeah, exactly. Matter of fact, now that we're on Jeff's chassis, I got to show you this. You'll trip on this. Hold on a sec.
Let's see. Who's anybody messaging? Mundo says, cool drawing. Thank you, Mundo. Melissa says, I think Ilum is just as cold as hot. Yeah, that was my idea when I was like drawing this monster, that like I'm gonna draw little like ice bits on like the ground is definitely ice. It's snowy. That's how I see it too. Mundo says, the way I think would have been better would be slide door reveal system for that saber. Yeah, that one that opens up is I think Mundo, you told me that. Jedi Arms Dealer told me that was a problem saber.
It is. Well, here's what I've done with this one. You want to make me big screen real quick, Space? I'll give you the...
Oh, yeah.
So I got the doors to close up, but I took it a step further. Jeff weathered this beautifully. It's such a freaking sweet weathering job. But I literally have to take my fingernails and put them between the doors because they come with really weak magnets. You can just bang on the saber and they'll just fly open.
So you already replaced those magnets.
Well, yeah, and I beefed them up, and then so when you open it up, there's an entire row of magnets here.
Oh.
And here. And so it's next to him. You have to use your fingernails to get it open.
Oh my God, dude. Do you already have a plan for the interior of that? Because I got an idea.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. All ears.
This is, and I think it could work even if you already have a plan going. Tell me if we might even, how people like us think of the same thing at the same time sometimes. Filament LEDs. Like 1 or 2 of them in there, maybe 3. Held on by one end each. So like when you open those doors, he will see like whatever picture Return of the Jedi, the North Tower that Lando has to blow up with the Millennium Falcon. You know how it's like it comes to a point and then
You're
there's
talking about the
energy.
yeah.
Yes. So if you had like your little chassis, like your little parts that you made, and they could be tiny. I mean, they could be tiny because all you would need was the little wire that connected the one end of the filament. And then it's like a 1 inch long. You could buy, I think, on like super bright LEDs. You could probably buy them for a couple $. And then the other end, maybe you could just experiment with your little power setup that you got, and then you attach, because they're like as bright as the sun. You know what I mean? They're like a little, like when they were on. If it was on, Jeff would think this is a power core.
That you're talking about the ones that come in like the new LED Edison bulbs, right? Those filament ones.
Well, if we're talking about Edison bulbs, I love Edison bulbs, but for a different reason, because those look like an old bulb where the light inside is bright orange and it's like you could see the filament. The one I'm talking about is a pure white, cool white LED. It looks like a needle, but it really is an LED, and you'd be handling with your fingers the fucking raw. It's almost like, how do I explain?
Look that up. I didn't know they made the filaments in a super thin white. That's cool as
yeah,
shit.
so I don't know if you know this Saber dude, Wilson McDermott. You know Wilson McDermott?
Mm-mm.
He sometimes posts about like string blades and stuff. So like even before I did string blades, he's like experimenting with string blades. He had a thread on FX Sabers that said like world's brightest a lightsaber blade, because even before I started making string blades, he was using the 5mm LEDs this way. Anyway, I think it was him. It might have been Chaz Wilson, because he's another friend of mine that emails me some LED tips and such. And anyway, I went and looked it up, and I had seen them before, but I was thinking, how do I use that? How do I use that? And we could make a string blade out of it. I think it would be freaking crazy. But for something like what you do, I think these little filament things might be something really cool for you to play with, because it'd be almost like you could have two parts separated by a half an inch, and with the filament in between, when it's off, it looks almost yellow. So remember those LEDs I showed you that was a 12mm LED in the palm of my hand that was yellowy?
Yeah,
looking. It's a yellowy plastic. Yeah, but it
not
lights
the yellowy
up.
ones. I have the clear ones, the 12mm.
Oh, okay.
Those ones are huge.
Well, there's some. Let me just pull it up. Let's stop what we're doing and just switch gears here for a second. Because all right, we're gonna wrap this up soon anyway.
Okay. Let me show you real quick. I got to show you. This is what I want to show you though, real quick. This is the speaker. Okay. Can you see it?
Is it at the end there?
Yeah. And so what I've done is cut the copper so that it perfectly fits in each notch of a 28mm bass speaker.
What?
So what you can do with this is it's got the Stock the Stock 2-pin connector, the speaker lane for speakers underneath it, and so I can just do this and unplug the speaker and plug in another one. So I'm sending Jeff 3 different interchangeable speakers. This is the wow.
Oh.
So
you mean just for fun to see what's better?
Yeah. So you can just and it's real easy to set up new ones. So the back of it has I
love it.
So I got 3 different bass speakers set up for him, and you can just go back
That's
and forth. That's
fantastic, bro.
And if you blow one, then it's like
that's sort of like I could do that for Mark if I had more pommels. Because you know how Mark's pommels, it's all connected, and he wants to try maybe a different thing. That was actually one of the questions he had in the email, which we could talk about next time. But he wanted to ask you if the ohm thing matters for loudness, or maybe you don't know, and Jeff's going to find out when he tries these different speakers. But you know that those like ohm ratings you were saying, like it's got to be. Oh, okay.
These are all 4 ohm. I mean, basically with the ohm thing, like with an 8 ohm. You can go to 3,000 on the Profi, and you don't usually have to worry about blowing it. So basically, it's bumping up the resistance when you go to 8. From 4 ohms to 8 ohms. 8 ohms, you can turn the amplifier up louder.
That's why the speakers you had me buy from eBay were so important, because they're 8 ohm.
Correct.
That's what you're saying. Okay, I got to take a look at what it said on the back of that JBL that Mark.
But let's say let's say you have your let's say you have your Profi or CFX set to 50% amplifier power, right? Halfway up. And you were to plug in a 4-ohm speaker versus an 8-ohm speaker. The 4-ohm speaker is going to be louder because it's less resistance. But it's easier to blow it the more you turn up the power.
Oh, okay.
Because it's allowing more current through that speaker coil, which will heat it up, and then that could blow it. Whereas with the 8-ohm, I like using the 8-ohms on everything now because, you know, if somebody gets into the config, they crank it all the way up in the config. Oh, let's see what this thing sounds like, balls out. They're not going to blow the speaker usually if it's 8-ohm. Or if it's 4, they're probably going to torch it. So, Ohm's law, all right?
Okay. I need to learn some of my basics on like resistance and Ohm's law and different things.
Well, it's weird. It's a little different with speakers because I know you understand all that stuff when it, you know, LEDs and you've been using it for years. But like when it comes to speakers and parallel and series, that's when speaker dynamics get a little strange. I had to go to school for that. It was my first job out of the military. Was bass. I loved it. I was addicted. I still am. But yeah, like the Saber I'm building for you right now. Those are 2 8s in series. But what I did differently on this one, you know how normally I put the speakers back to back.
Yep.
In my other 2 speaker builds, and then I have them running parallel, and the speakers are firing out this way. So when they're bumping, they're doing like this. Whereas the Saber I'm building for you now, there's one at one end of the crystal chamber and another one at the other end of the crystal chamber, and they both go like this.
Oh, okay.
So they're working together like an isobaric bass chamber. It's ridiculously loud.
Oh my God. Darius is going to be so happy.
It's wild. And what's weird about this one is it's louder when the pommel's off. I don't know why that is yet, but it's, yeah. And then you put the pommel on, and then you feel the bass with the pommel on. But then when you take it off, you don't feel the bass as much. But it's blistering loud because it's not only coming out the holes in the crystal chamber, it's also coming out the end in 2 places. So yeah, I can't wait to get that one all wired up and buttoned up. It's coming soon.
Trying to look up this filament LED. I'm trying to find it right now. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I see the bulbs that they're in, but no, I'm looking for the loose filaments.
Yeah, I've not seen, I don't believe. Have they been out for a long time?
A couple years, not too, like I would consider it new still.
Because I know now they're making the Edison bulbs with thick, kind of like that vintage yellow. Those are LEDs now. They make them that way.
Yeah, and what we're looking for is those innards, but I'm looking for
stupid bright, huh?
I thought it was under the component LED section. All right, well, let's do this. Let me just show you guys what I was drawing, and then we'll just move on real quick to just looking for these LEDs because I want to show Jedi Arms Dealer that. So this is what we kind of got so far. This is about the area I was working in tonight. I'm pretty happy with the way that's coming out. This guy's got a lot of hairs and detail and stuff like that, and then also he'll have a bunch of like reflection coming off him when we light up that saber blade, because like the saber blade is going to go across the page kind of in that spot there.
Dude.
So he's throwing somebody, the saber will be ignited, he's stepping on somebody, somebody's about to stab him over here. So, you know, it'll be kind of fun. Maybe next time when we do this, I'll get into like some of these crimson guards. I developed like a few different style. Like with some of them have different weapons than others. And I think the last thing we'll do is all the
Night,
crystal.
kid. Go ahead. Saying goodnight, kid. He's outside the door. Go ahead.
Nice. But yeah, that's about it. That's what we kind of did tonight. This section. This is a snow ice crystal creature, crystal guardian. I think we can call him.
That's so badass.
The arm came out. I got to do more of him like that arm.
That's so badass.
All right, so let me switch this.
They really got into their helmets.
Where's my cam? Okay. Oh, and then I have to switch this off.
I'm just typing in filament LED into
Yeah, see if something
eBay.
comes up for you. Maybe that was where I saw
It's
it.
all those like, full size flame bulbs that you get from like Walmart and stuff.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen because I went to the Super Bright LED website. Let me show you. I'll grab this screen over here.
Wonder if I put in filament LED component.
Yeah, like I forget where they were. Like I'm looking under component LEDs and Super Bright LEDs. I think that's where because like this is where I would buy my Blade LEDs. I thought even sometimes they were like $1 each. I needed like 100 of them. I felt like the quality was just so much higher than like when I'd buy them off Amazon or something like for 15 cents each, they were shit. So I would get them off Super Bright. Let's see what.
Interesting. Yeah, not all LEDs are created equal, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in component. Didn't I find it in? It definitely wasn't in through hole, but let's just check. So this is where I would go. I would go to through hole when I was looking for my. They used to have like 4 or 5 pages. Now there's only 2 pages of through hole. I guess they're going the way of the dinosaur. They still need these for some stuff, don't they? Maybe it was automotive because, this is the type of stuff like they're using to like light the front of the Audis and stuff.
We're into the deep underground world's first stuff right now.
This would be. I think you would really like this too. Let's just see what I want to find out what the power requirement would be on that type of thing. Fuck, where would it be?
One of the guys on Facebook, Jeremy, who owns Cloud City Sabers, he actually took a vintage. God, what are they called? They used to use them in the old flash guns, and it's an actual fluorescent tube that when you electrify it with a transformer, you can actually see like lightning jumping around inside of it. Old vintage thing, and he found one that was straight, and he put it in a Star Killer. It was really, really cool. He beat me to it because I saw him years ago on eBay, and I was like, I wonder if I could put that in a lightsaber, and I never got around to it, and he did it. I was like, oh man, it looks so cool. Little like plasma stream going on inside the Star Killer. It's amazing.
All right, check this out. Chamber. This is like kind of what I'm talking about. So you would buy just these little things. See how they're like $1? And they're like the size of your they're like smaller than your little pinky nail. They're little.
Oh, jeez.
But you want the ones that are like, well, I mean, you can get any color you want, but my suggestion would be you get the cool white.
Cool white, yeah.
Something that lights up cool white. And the way that it'll look like a little electrical arc. And like, imagine if you got 3 or 4 of them and you put them in to make, you can make a little power gate. Like maybe they would be like left to right, or maybe they'd be up and down, but that'd be up to your design. But you see how it's like positive and negative at the top and bottom. How convenient is that for you to hide that in a little doodad, a little greebly that's like, wire coming in from the top that's like positive, wire coming in from the bottom that's like negative. And then when that accent LED hits, now let's see what the specs are here.
Can you solder to those?
It's a 3 volt.
It's a what?
3 volt. So I think that would work.
Wow.
It's 1 watt, dude. This is bright. Like I'm telling you, it's gonna look like a little arc. It's gonna look like it's worth a try. You know, something like this. I looked up filament LED. I don't know what website this is, Wish, but I don't know. I looked up filament LEDs. There was some choices there, but maybe Adafruit had some too. I don't know.
I remember seeing the LED style Edison bulbs and thinking, man, I'd like to just break one of those open. And
I love those, like in restaurants and stuff. I was really getting used to. I was really getting used to places that had like Edison bulbs. I love to eat like in a little dimmer environment.
Me too.
And I just like that. And then the whole shutdown thing happened, and I haven't been in a restaurant in 6 months. But
right,
that's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, that's why I like go to sleep like half hungry, because I'm like lazy and I don't want to do it myself. I like other people to make my food, but
yes,
I want the expert to make my food. So like here, let me pull up another. So yeah, like I just found some that are warm white, 1 watt pack of 2, but I wouldn't get warm white for the Saber. I'd look for like cool white, unless you had a good idea for the reason of the warm white. But maybe if you looked hard enough, maybe you'd find colors. I don't know, because like I'm seeing some of these Edison bulbs as I look through some of this search. That, for instance, like let me pull this up. This is kind of neat.
I didn't know they sold them individually. I thought I'd have to
Yeah,
crack
like,
open a bulb.
Because I had one of my friends. Now I'm sorry, I can't remember if it was Wilson McDermott or Chaz Wilson. Maybe because they both have a Wilson there. But they emailed me to tell me tips and stuff. And one of them sent me that they were making a blade out of this. I don't know what came out of it, but they were making a blade, and you could see. You know, like look at this bulb. So this is like a UV. This is a UV filament. Imagine you got that. I mean, don't get that one. You're gonna hurt your eyes, because that's like an invisible danger. But you know what I'm saying. There's different colors. Like there was an LED. There was a bulb up here that looked like it was like 1,000 different colors. So that's why
look
I
at the spiral. Look at the spiral ones. Like
yeah.
springs. Scroll
so
up.
I wonder if you could find like this one here.
Keep going. Keep going. Right there. I'm pointing at it like you can see me. Yeah, 2 more to the right.
Oh, this?
Yeah. What the heck is that? Is that a bulb? Oh, that's sick.
Oh, I think that's like a tabletop. Oh, it's like look, it's a bulb like that. That's sweet though.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
It probably runs off of 110.
Now look at these people give it 5 stars. Everyone loves this fucking thing. They're like, look. Looks awesome on my project. Awesome light. Worked perfect. That's because they deleted all the bad ones.
Is it one of those like halogen housings where it just snaps in? It's not like a threaded one?
Let's see what they... Yeah, I think it just screws into like it's like a normal lamp end.
Okay. So it's a full-size socket then.
T9. Bulb type T9, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know you could buy just the LED part in the filament. That's sweet.
And I forgot, I thought it was super bright LEDs, but maybe I'm just not looking in the right place. Like if you look at super bright LEDs now, there's 1,000 categories, and it's hard to find the right one. But just in a search, I could see a bunch of sellers that have them, and they're cheap as hell. So you could probably get them from some different places. Oh, this looks cool. Let me share this. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, this looks really cool. I'm actually not even sure what I'm about to show you, but this bulb looks sweet.
It looks pretty alien. Whoa!
I don't know what the hell. This is only $2.
How the
colorful fireworks bulb? That is cool. Filament lamp for home bar. Wow. Oh, I think it's like your Saber. I think it's like a prism. It must be like just like reflecting a couple filaments in there 1,000 times.
Oh, they
must
somehow mirrored it up.
Yeah.
Weird. Oh,
that's
hell
neat.
Yeah.
For $2, look, it's down from 14. Instead of 14, it's 2. Maybe get them and rip the filaments out. Oh, you could get multicolor or multicolor.
This is all Wish. That site Have you
I never
ordered
heard of
stuff?
that site before tonight. I never
Yeah,
saw. I figured it was a Chinese site when I just saw it. I don't know.
it totally is. You can get stuff on there so cheap, but you'll be lucky if like a third of the time it even shows up. Yeah, I've gotten some weird stuff on there. It's fun.
That's cool. I think you'll be able to find those things on eBay now that you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Let me type it again in super bright just to see. I'm surprised it didn't come up. Filament in miniature, filament in decorative, filament LED. Here we go. Filament LED, bitch, come up.
Do you
Oh,
know
no,
if you can? Do you know if you can solder to them? Because if not, I've got the old telephone connectors. They're good down to 32 gauge. They're crimps.
Oh.
They're crimp
Yeah,
connectors.
that I'm not sure,
I don't know
but
if they
I
heat.
think so because I think that's what my friend was showing me in his post was that he was using these to build a blade with, and I think he was soldering them together. Now, I don't think he was like being like super successful with it. He was very, very happy with the brightness, but maybe there was an issue like stringing a bunch together.
Yeah.
But just to use a couple of them in a little like as a little accent, or imagine like a little slit that's you cut on the side of your hilt that would be so slender, but like it almost didn't look like it was a cut at all. But then like bright light comes out of it, meaning that you kind of insert one of these little filaments in a crack or something. Yeah, I can't find the actual.
Yeah, and once it lights up, can you touch it, or do you got to heat shrink it, or the whole thing, or like?
Yeah, I would put a little tube of clear heat shrink around it,
All right.
but maybe at least the ends where
That's a cool find.
I will at some point try some of them too. I think that'd be cool. Little interior thing going on.
Absolutely, yeah. There's barely any room in this thing. It is unreal. It's like less than once you get it. I think this chassis is. I actually got copper tubing that was the perfect size. Good old plumbing.
Filament LED parts.
If I remember, I think it's less than an inch in here.
Okay, well, I guess I'm not not gonna be able to find what I was looking for, but whatever. That was a lot of fun. We did a pretty long stream tonight. I think we got a lot of drawing done. Melissa says it's 1 a.m. here. What are you guys doing? Mundo says you cause Electrum uses 4 ohm 2 watt, and I was wondering if I plugged in an 8 ohm, what would happen?
It'll be quieter, for sure. Yeah.
All right, I gotta remember that and tell Mark that.
Now, if you've got a big amplifier like the CFX or the Profi, then no worries. You can crank it up louder. But I don't know what board isn't Electrum proprietary. They got their own board.
Oh yeah, I think they do.
And so, is there a volume control on it?
Good night, Mundo. Have a great one. We're actually going to get
Mundo.
off the air in a minute too. The Force will be with you, Mundo. Jedi Arms Dealer in space. Keep doing great things. I want to see what you do next. Thanks, Mundo.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I think you'll be
seeing
happy
you.
with that drawing. Mundo's on my other drawing streams, but he doesn't get to see me color ever because I'm just penciling always. So that was fun to color. And we'll come back and do that. But I think the next show we're going to do is going to be another one where it better be the last one where we fix Mark's saber.
Yeah.
And Mark gets his saber and he's playing with it, and it's Thanksgiving and it's Christmas and it's Halloween and he's happy and it just works and works. And everyone's impressed,
It's Christmas forever. Yeah, I want to see you duplicate that problem. And then, like you said, we may just have to disconnect that forward speaker.
Yeah, that might solve everything.
One thing real quick, I don't know with these new boards, whether Profi or CFX, is if it cares if one speaker is 4 ohms and the other speaker is 8 ohms. I wouldn't think it would, because that's how some crossover networks are built. But as a general rule, you usually want to use 2 identical speakers if you can.
I see.
But
That's the reason why you try to put them either back to back or, you know, have the same space for both. Because that was my issue. It's like I only had space for one full size speaker, so I went with that smaller speaker up front.
Mm-hmm. I've done that before, and it's still
that's a thought, though. I mean, that would probably make it less effective, but that would just be, if it was my saber, I might do this, but I can't keep the saber forever. It's not mine. But what I would do is I'd probably, knowing what you just said now, I'd probably take the similar speaker that I used in the upwards part and replace the pommel speaker with that and see if we ever had a problem again, right? Because that would be identical. But it'd be smaller. It won't be the 28 millimeter. It'd be the 22 millimeter or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So
just the test to see if it doesn't like having 2 different speakers.
Yeah. But it's like, I think Mark's goal is to have it be loud, and I don't know if the 22 would be effective, you know, for that purpose. So
he'll
although, you know,
the bass.
there is a saber I have, that one I have for sale right now, the Anakin Skywalker Attack of the Clones lightsaber that Cal from KR Sabers did the install for me. Now he has the little like a speaker pod, like you were talking about, from like, you know, where it's like removable, and it's got one of them little speakers in it, but the inside the hilt, it sounds really, really nice. You know, like when it doesn't sound as loud as a 2-watt bass speaker, but it's pretty near that. It's the loudest, it's like small speaker saber I've ever heard, and I think it's because he's got a really nice chamber in there for it to reverb stuff. It's nice.
Butts right up against her. It has a good seal. The important thing is to have a good seal on the front and the rear of the speaker.
Yeah, and that's what it seems to have, and it's even got a little rubber gasket on the bottom there that helps. Yeah, I'm always trying to duplicate that, but I think that's like kind of a weak point for me. Is sound. I gotta get better at resonance and stuff.
It is hard to do it in every build because sometimes you can't accommodate like a good tight seal in certain builds. It's impossible. Yeah,
like Gabe was over here with his Mad Cow saber, and it's like, you know, he builds a lot of ascends, so he knows that it's going to sound great in each one. Whereas over here, I've been dealing with different hilt every single week, so it's impossible to get every one of them to be tested and sound perfect.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this stream with me. That was a lot of fun watching you unbox the blades, and then we worked on this drawing. We probably talked a lot of BS.
Yeah, it was my Christmas and birthday all in one with the CFLS, man. I'm gonna tell Barbara I don't need any presents this year. I got this shit.
Awesome. And you got a lot of work to do. You know, it's not a present that comes with no work. It's like you got to like now assemble something, and you got to test it out, and you might have a headache and a half.
Well, that's a given. All right, Space. Cool, man.
All right. Well, have a good night.
Awesome.
I'm going to play my outro, and then we will be done. And I'll see you guys next time. Probably. Did we set a day where we're going to come back Tuesday? Maybe.
Sounds
not Tuesday.
Hey, you let me know.
You know, I'll let you know. I think I'll be busy Tuesday, but I'll let you know. We'll do it next week.
Locked up.
All right. Well, stay safe, buddy. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you too.
Talk to you.
All right.
Soon.
Cool.
SpaceWindu!